Hello there, Minneapolis. Your turn.
Hi, Bruce.
Hello.
I appreciate the opportunity to get your advice.
Let's talk.
Let's talk. Okay. Last year, I decided I wanted to have a little business venture. And I got into the balloon stuffing business. You've seen those machines out and about in the malls?
Well, I've seen them out and about the trade shows, yes.
Okay. They're quite widespread throughout the country, but they finally made it to Minneapolis last fall.
Uh-huh.
So I bought myself a machine and started looking for a place to go, and did find somebody else who had started a small business, actually a couple of guys who had started a small business. The products were sort of compatible, the demographics the same. So they and I agreed that we would go into business together.
Well, what were they doing?
They were doing stamp pads, the hearts and the kittens and which appeals basically to or being bought by women in the upper 20s to mid-30s.
All right, but I don't see how you got together with them.
Well, because my balloons all had designs that looked like they were stamped, by their stamp pads. And it was a real cute tie-in. So although my balloons weren't stamped with their stamp pad designs, they looked like they were, they belonged in a shop like that. Okay? So I was going to supply the plush animals and stuff the balloons and have them in their store. And then right before the holiday season, I was going to move into the store and actually do this on site.
Well, I see. You're going to have the samples there.
Not the samples. We were going to sell. It was too early in the season to be selling. These people aren't going to buy balloons for the holidays 2 months in advance.
Well, I understand that.
Right.
But who's in the meantime, when they walked in the store,
I was going to keep them supplied constantly with, at their request, 20 to 30 balloons.
Yeah, but not on. I'm trying to get to. We're overcomplicating this.
Okay.
At the before the Christmas season,
right?
You're going to stuff them at home,
right? Exactly.
And then during the height of the season, they could come right in and you do it on site.
Exactly.
Okay. And I can almost fill in the blank. They went out and bought their own machine.
Exactly.
Well, sure, they're available. There's a half a dozen of those machines.
Right. Although they had agreed with me that we would work together through the end of the holiday season.
They said for $1,500, we'll buy our own.
Exactly. Any recourse that I have? Can I take him to small claims court? We did have an oral agreement which was heard by several people.
Oral agreements are binding.
Well,
it's tougher to prove them. That's all.
Yeah. I ended up going into another store and I had to buy another machine to do it because it was a package deal. But at the other place, not being able to sell my own plush, I made about $4,000 in 13 days.
Did you really?
I really did, Bruce, yeah. So not only am I upset with what they did because I think, they used me badly, but I think I lost a heck of a lot of money. I was selling my own plush inside of these things, and we weren't able to do this in the retail store to which we went. I think I could have made...
Selling your own plush what?
The plush or the stuffed balloons that I was supplying to this the first group that I was working with, I purchased the plush wholesale and sold the complete product.
Understand.
When I moved into a retail store, I could only stuff store-purchased merchandise.
So you only sold the balloons instead of...
And the service, exactly.
Right.
So my profit margin obviously was much less. So I would imagine I lost probably $8,000 to $10,000.
Well, in that case, you ought to talk about your attorney. It's not a small claims court matter.
Well, again, I don't know if I can afford that, and I'm thinking it's as much as I feel that they owe me that, but I want to prove the point.
When you say you can't afford it, you might be able to get, if you can prove what you said. Mm-hmm. See, it's a very tenuous thing here.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, oral contracts are valid.
Right.
But they're very awkward to prove. Now, you said you have witnesses. I don't want to get into that. Mm-hmm. And then you have the next thing of damages. Now, for example, did you have a bunch of bears or whatever you bought and then you couldn't sell?
Oh, I still have bears and things at home, sure.
The things that you would have sold had you...
sure.
Well, that's a legitimate damage. That's demonstration of damage. Mm-hmm. Now, you might be able to find an attorney that will take it on a contingency basis. Do you know what that means?
Oh, sure. I guess I didn't realize anybody other than the ambulance chaser type people did.
Oh, that's not true. No,
huh?
Not true at all. Perfectly legitimate way to work.
Okay. To tell you the truth, I did talk to our corporate attorney. I work for a major corporation. Mm-hmm. And I talked to him, and he said, what he would suggest is take it to court myself and sue pro se and ask for a jury trial.
Well,
is that too much to deal with?
Well, it depends how good you are.
Well, I know nothing about it.
Well, that's that. You see, pro se means you're going to go and represent yourself.
Right, on your own behalf, right.
And I think that's not the smartest thing in the world. Yeah. An attorney would be able to fillet you.
Yeah.
No, I would be more comfortable in getting an attorney to represent you.
But you would suggest it's worth pursuing, huh?
Yeah, I think so. What they did was grossly unethical, at the very least.
For sure. But they knew I was a babe in the woods. I mean, that there was no doubt about it. And these guys had already made, I think, a large killing. Or one of them, at one point, he was early into the video market. Mm-hmm. So they knew what they were doing.
He saw some action there.
Oh, sure.
And decided, well, should we share it with her?
Exactly.
I wish you well, dear.
Thank you, Bruce.
Hang in there. I'm Bruce Williams. You bet. This is Talknet.
We pay for the call at 1-800-TALKNET.
Off we go to Alexandria, VA. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hello, baby. What's on your mind?
Well, 2 months ago, my husband and I placed an ad in the local paper to sell some 49 rolls of insulation that we were going to put up in our basement. We're going to be moving this summer, and we never got around to doing it, so we said, well...
What the heck? Let's put an ad in. Put it on the racks.
Yeah.
Sure.
We got many, many, many phone calls for this insulation. Right. But the first person who called me, a gentleman came over and paid us the money that we wanted for it. And I said, well, when are you going to come and pick it up? And he said, well, I'll come over tomorrow or the next day when I get some men with a truck to help me.
That's a lot of bulk. It's not much weight, but that's a lot of bulk.
True.
A lot of bulk.
And he never came, and he's never come.
How long ago was this?
2 months.
Huh. Have you called him?
Oh, yes, we've called him repeatedly. I've called him at work. I've called him at his...
And
his wife says he's never talked to me. He's never talked to my husband. And she always says, oh, he's out, or he'll call you back, or this or that. And finally, a month ago, my husband called her up and said, look, he's never returned our calls. You know, if he wants to get this insulation, he's going to have to pay us, $50 for storage. Mm-hmm. And, he's got 3 days, and if he doesn't pick it up, we'll add another $50 onto that, and he never called us.
Huh. How much was involved in this transaction?
$275. I mean, it's not an exorbitant amount of money, but we just don't know what to do.
Well,
should we sell it again?
If it were me, I would send him a letter saying if the stuff isn't picked up in 5 days, that you are going to dispose of it at whatever price because it's an inconvenience for you to store it. And furthermore, there would be a storage charge of $100 or something of that nature. In order for him to pick it up, you'll have to pay the storage charge. In the event that you sell it for more than $100, you will send him the difference. So if you sell it for $200, keep the $100 for the storage and send the $100.
Okay, and give him.
No, I'm not trying. I don't want to play a lawyer here. I'm not.
Right.
I'm not at all certain what I told you to do is legal, but that's what I would do.
Not certain it's legal, but that's what you do.
Well, there's a lot of things you do in life that you're not 100% sure is legal. Please.
True.
Let's face it. There are a lot of things that your attorney is going to tell you that he doesn't know if it's legal until a court tests it. Now, there may be some, but what I would, as I said, I'd say you got 5 days to pick up your stuff and bring me $100 storage. Mm-hmm. In the event that you can't do that, I am going to sell it.
Okay.
If it brings over $100, I will send you the difference, and then do so.
Okay.
I wouldn't lose a lot of sleep over that.
Okay. All right.
Unless, you can deduct the cost of the ad, too. Mm-hmm. New ad.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You wonder about people like this, though, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, and this is not the first time I've had calls like this.
Oh, really?
Oh, people say, I sold a car, or I sold a boat, or, fill in the blank. I wish you well, dear.
Okay, thank you.
Off we go now to Phoenix of Arizona. Hello there.
Hello, Mr. Williams. How are you?
I am well, thank you.
A couple questions. I've heard you mention many times about this insurance leeway time you're allowed if you have it on a 15-day deal.
What insurance leeway? No,
on the mortgage insurance. Or mortgage payment.
Well, it has nothing to do with insurance.
Well, mortgage payment is what I'm talking about.
All right. You're talking about the grace period.
Right. You've mentioned many times about that. So I started doing that with my wife, and I started doing that. Mm-hmm. I also have a car payment in the same situation where I have a 10-day grace period.
Well, that's not something you want to monkey with.
That's not to monkey with.
No.
Okay, that was one question.
Why? Because if the thing goes to cropper, you're allowed to be uninsured.
That's true.
Well, that's dumb.
Okay, well, that's why I'm asking.
Okay, don't do that.
Okay, next question was about my I've heard you mention U.S. savings bonds.
Yeah.
For, let's say her education or something, and by the time she's 18 or something like that is a good thing to do, as long as the family income is 60,000 or less.
That's the current rules, that you can buy savings bonds if you're over age 24. I don't understand what that's all about.
Right.
And if the money is used for certain, not all, educational expenses, and you make under 60 grand a year, then the interest is not only tax deferred, it is tax exempt. Okay,
well, my question about that is, I could do that for about the next 2 years because then our family income would be above the 60.
It's when it's at cash-in time, not now.
Pardon me?
It's the $60,000 is not when you purchase it, but when you cash it in.
Okay, well, see, at the time I would cash it in, which would only be 2 years because our income would be over 60,000.
Yeah, but the problem with that scenario is savings bonds don't pay level interest.
I see.
You got to hold them to maturity to get the full interest.
I see. Okay.
For you, this doesn't work for you. You're making too much money.
Okay. What I've done is...
Well, I'll have to ask you to hang on, and we'll find out around the corner what you've done. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. I am chatting with a gentleman in Phoenix, Arizona, and he's been doing something for an investment for his kid in college, and I'd like to find out what. Go ahead.
Well, what I did was the day she was born, our agent came over from a major insurance company, and we opened up a policy that's on a kind of like a building block status deal.
That doesn't do anything for me either.
It doesn't?
No, sir.
Why?
Because insurance is not an investment. Insurance is for insurance purposes. Your insurance guy, I'm sure, has sold you... How long ago was this?
She's going to be 2 years old, and we've been putting in $200 a month.
What did they say? Some kind of universal life policy?
Well, it's a policy where at the time she's 18 years old.
No, I don't want to know about that. I want to know what's it structured under. Is it structured under universal life or endowment or what?
Well, we have it in 3 different places. I don't know what you would call it, but we have like 25% one place.
It's not what I would call it. You see, there are different kinds of insurance policies.
Okay.
And some of the universal life is a combination of whole life and investment. And it's designed to take advantage of the tax laws. Now, is that what we're talking about? Or are we talking about an 18 or a 20-year endowment policy that provides so much cash at the end of that period of time?
Right, that's what we're talking about.
Well, endowment policies, by and large, are lousy buys.
I see.
You can do much better elsewhere.
Do you have any suggestions?
And what to do with the money? There are half a dozen ways. As I said, would I buy a straight endowment policy, or would I put the money you don't need insurance on your child. Let's start with that.
Right.
What do you need life insurance on her for?
Well,
if she dies, who is hurt? Now, I don't mean who is hurt in terms of your emotions. Clearly, you're destroyed. But financially, there's no loss except... there could be if she died of some horrible disease that was, took a long time to pay for, or alternatively, there are certain expenses that all of us leave this mortal plane, right?
Right, I understand.
But aside from that, it's not like if you die, we've lost a lot of potential income, haven't we?
Right. So, it was just my understanding that at the age of 18, that she would have approximately with the money.
How much?
Approximately $26,000 to $30,000.
Oh, wait a minute. You're putting in how much a month?
$200.
That's $2,400 a year.
Well, the way it's structured is the first year we put in $1,500. The second year we put in $500. The third year we will put in another $500. If we leave it at that, we have a printout policy showing that at the age of 18. Pardon me?
I understand what you're talking about.
Okay,
you'd been far better off in most cases to go out and buy a mutual fund.
Okay, well, 50% of it is in a mutual fund.
Well, but what do you need? I don't know how many ways I can say this to you.
Okay.
What do you need insurance on a 2-year-old kid for?
Okay.
Put all the money in the investment thing.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to get to.
All right.
I wish you well, kid.
You have a minute just for one quickie.
Go ahead.
How do you feel about telex comparably to fax? I was in a business of telex.
What do you? How do you compare the two?
Well, I don't know. I've never operated with fax before.
Well, a fax is people to people, from your end to my end.
So it's telex.
I have. Well, not really. Not really.
I dealt all over the country with telex.
When you say telex, that's a message.
Right.
But with a fax, I get the exact thing that they have in my office in Florida, in New York, instantly.
Okay.
If somebody, for whatever reason, wanted to make a sketch,
right?
Let's say they wanted
to
tell me how to get down to the local diner, and they drew me a little map. I'll have the exact map in my hands inside a minute. You can't telex that.
But telex does have its place.
Well, of course it does, but I think by and large the fax machine has replaced a lot of that stuff.
That's what I wanted to know.
Well, because it's. I mean, I got a fax machine in my home now.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought I'd get that.
Reason I asked, I invested a little bit of money at one time about 3 years ago, and I was making anywhere about 200 to 250% on my monies at a small basis, like 4 or 5 people.
Doing what?
Sending telexes for them all over the country. And what I was doing was my bill would be like $50 a month for the telexes, and what I was charging them, which was the lowest price here in town, just in my home. I was making about 250% on my money.
Who was sending all these telexes?
People. Well, one customer was probably about about 4 hours from here in Phoenix. Used to call me, tell me what he wanted to send to, let's say, Japan. He was a consultant in copper.
But my goodness, you just pick up the phone, punch up Japan, and you put the thing through the machine, 15 seconds to a page.
Yeah, I guess he wanted copies of what was written in the whole show. I really don't know.
This gives you copies. Well, I don't know. I mistelling. The fax machine is here to stay.
Right, okay.
I wish you well, kid.
Thanks, sir.
I never thought I'd have a fax in my home, but I do. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. St. Paul, Minnesota. Hello there.
Hello?
Hello.
Bruce.
Yes, sir.
Bruce, need your opinion on something. I'm retiring at the end of the year. Spent 30 years with an appliance manufacturer, 25 years as an area manager, and the last 5 years in marketing. I need something to keep me out of the pool hall in retirement.
How about chasing women?
Well,
I'll do it.
Well, yeah. Well, I can't do that too much. I'm running out of breath a little bit.
Yeah, you like the look at it, but you can't remember why, huh?
Can't touch. Yeah. I've got a chance through a real respected person that I've done business with to get involved in a multi-level distribution.
It's easy to get those chances.
Yeah, I know that. This is with a company that's doing about $120 million worth of business. The company is 6 years old, has no long-term debt. Primarily doing business on both coasts, and the Midwest is pretty much open on this thing. Yeah. Very little investment get in, more time and money and people you know. And just need some things to think about and look for.
Well, I'm not sure what you're asking me.
Well, have you had any feedback, any of this?
On multi-level marketing?
Yep.
Well, clearly, if you've listened to my program, you know I don't think much of it.
Well, I guess I haven't listened to you enough to hear that part of it, although I do listen to you quite a bit. Maybe you can tell me some of the...
Because multi-level marketing fails by its own... I have no problem... I'm sounding like a broken record here. I have no problem whatever with the idea of direct sales. All right? I have no problem with the idea of buying products from a direct salesperson. What I do have a problem with is, as you were pitched, I have to believe, and then you tell me if I'm mistaken, but the big part of what you're going to be doing is getting other people involved, and you're going to make money from what they sell.
A lot of that is right.
You see, that's specious. Because there aren't enough people in the whole damn world to support it. You have to get 10, they got to get 10, there goes 100. They got to get 10, now we're up to 1,000, right?
Well, you're talking not quite that big, but...
No, it is that big. How many people do they tell you to recruit?
5.
All right. Each of those 5 have to recruit 5, right?
Yeah.
That's 25. Each of those 5...
you get up to about 625 by the time the whole thing...
That's 625 right there, but just squares again. And there aren't enough people in the world to support it. So there has to be a huge attrition rate.
Okay.
And that's where it fails. You see, if they said to you, look, we got a great product. You go out and sell it for 1 solid year, and then we'll let you recruit, I would have no quarrel.
Mm-hmm.
But not initial recruiting. That's what I quarrel with. You understand?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Got you covered.
All right.
Enjoy.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Rensselaer, Indiana. Hello there. Welcome to Talknet.
Hi, Bruce.
Hello there.
I've got a question. Last week, I do, and I don't know what to do. I'm mad. Last week, I was contacted by a credit collector, and I tried to explain to the woman that, we're on a set budget, and I understand we owe the bill.
Well, that's my first thing. You do owe the money.
Yeah, we do. Yes, we definitely do owe the money, and that's not the argument. She wouldn't listen to me. She got real snotty, and she said, well, don't you think it's a little bit too late to make arrangements and blah, blah, blah. And I told her, I said, ma'am, that's all we can do. That's the best I can do now. And she got mad, and she said, well, if I don't hear from you in 7 days, I'm going to turn it over to court, take it to court and sue you.
Sure.
Well, today she called my husband's employment, and I don't know what to do. I don't want him getting in trouble on his job, because if he loses his job, they're out their money.
Well, let's. How much money are we talking about here?
Just $382.
What's that, a credit card of some kind?
No, it's a medical. It's in a hospital.
All right. Now, how long has this money been overdue?
Since April of '89.
All right. Is this the hospital calling or a collection agency?
It's a collection agency.
Have you made any effort before this with the hospital to pay the bill?
Not personally. We didn't go in and
Why
talk
not?
to them. Well, because we're kind of set back and we're trying to get caught up, and that's no excuse, I know.
Let me see. It's not a question of not paying them, but staying in touch with them is the thing.
Right. Well, we had wrote him a letter once and explained our situation, and then when I got discharged from the hospital, we explained to her, it's partly our fault too. But now I don't know what to do since it's got this far.
Well, what I would try to do is explain to them that you're willing to go on some kind of a payment plan.
Right.
That there's no way that you're going to pay cash because you don't have it. You start with that,
right.
And you have no place to borrow it.
That's right.
Well, you say that to them. I have no place to borrow it, and I haven't got the cash. So let's talk about a payment schedule.
Okay.
And what does your husband do for a living?
He's a shipper.
But he shouldn't be taking phone calls at work.
No.
I would make it clear to them, here's my home telephone number. You can contact me here from your home during the day?
Yes, I am. I'm home all day.
But you can contact me any day between 9 in the morning and 9 at night. And do this in writing.
Okay.
But there's no reason to contact. First of all, my husband is the bill is with me, not my husband. Secondly, the money isn't there. Thirdly,
I have a job. I'm getting paid a certain amount an hour.
Well, that's customary. Go ahead.
And in this office, there are two physicians, and the other physician is asking me to do some work for him, and I don't know how to set a fee here. I don't know whether to charge a flat rate or to charge him so much an hour.
Is he going to you're going to do this work on your own time?
No, I'll be working in the office, and I'll be doing it kind of simultaneously with the other job.
And you're getting paid on the other job, too?
Yes.
What a nice arrangement.
It could be kind of a gold mine here, but
how does your boss feel about this?
I don't haven't presented that to him yet, and I don't know if the other physician has either.
You work for one doctor, is that correct?
That's correct.
And the other guy wants you to do a little extra stuff for him. Well, how is that going to affect your performance for your primary employer?
Well, at the present time, they are not. Let's see how it wouldn't really. Right at this time, since the other physician is just getting started and is not real busy at this point, so there's a lot of extra time here. Now, whether somewhere down the line it would, I don't know.
Well, let's anticipate that your guy is going to start to get a little busier. Could you do the work that this other fellow wants you to do on your own time at home?
No, it would be probably things like filing, answering the phone, maybe setting some appointments.
I think you better talk to your first boss. I think he's going to say, look, you're on my payroll. Let him pay me.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'd say. You're getting paid to be there so many hours a day, and if there's some extra work to be done, sure, you can do it, but he's going to pay me, not you.
So in other words, I wouldn't get, in the end, I wouldn't get paid.
Well, you might. He might say, okay, I'll do it, but I want a little extra vig. But I don't think you're, if the guy offers, what are you getting paid an hour now in your regular job?
$7.50.
All right. I don't think that you have any right to charge this guy the same amount of money and get paid from both ends.
No, that's what I was thinking. I thought maybe something like $50 a week or maybe $2 extra per hour per day.
Well, but the problem is, you see, those hours belong to physician A. I don't think you have any right to sell them.
Okay.
I would talk to physician A and say, here's the deal, that we can both profit from this. You can reduce my pay by so much while this other money is coming in. Let's assume that we decide that, how many hours do you think it's going to take to do the work for the physician B?
I was thinking perhaps 2 hours a day.
All right, 10 hours a week. And let's take your regular rate of $7.50, right? That would be $75 a week, right? You say to physician B, I'll tell you what, I'll take $30 a week less from you, or 35 even, if I can take the extra 40 from him. I'll take 75 from him, but you can pay me 35 less.
Okay.
And we both come out ahead.
I see. All right, that sounds like a fair.
Because I'm sure if the guy's not doing too well right now, he wouldn't mind saving $35 a week. And you wouldn't mind picking up $40 a week. And physician B wants to get the work done. Everybody wins into that arrangement.
Okay, sounds good.
Give it a shot.
Thank you.
I do wish you well, dear.
All right, bye.
That's what it comes down. You got to make a yes out of the deals if it's all possible. Duluth, Minnesota. Hello.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
How are you?
I am just fine, thank you. How are things in chilly Duluth?
Well, it's kind of chilly.
Yeah, you guys are getting to that time of the year when I like to fly over and wave.
That's about it, huh?
What's happening, hon?
Well, Sunday my husband and I were in the neighborhood to go buy a new washing machine. And so we didn't want to buy a brand new one. We thought we could find a good used one in the newspaper. So we went through the classified ads in the paper on Sunday, and we found a washing machine that said, the ad said, 2-year-old washing machine, and they gave the brand name, and it was $100.
Was this was an individual?
Right.
Okay.
So we thought that was a good deal. My husband called the woman and went to look at it, and he thought it looked good, and he picked it up, and he brought it home, hooked it up, balanced it and everything, and I went to wash a load of clothes, and it doesn't work.
Why doesn't it work? What doesn't work?
It fills up with water, and it just won't agitate the clothes. It'll drain and spin the clothes, but it doesn't agitate the clothes. So we called the woman back, and she said, well, you know, is the lid shut? Yes, and things like that. And I just told her that we just wanted to bring the washing machine back, and she wouldn't take it back. And I told her, well, you have to take it back. And she said, no, I don't. So I got upset and screamed at her and told her that I would just cancel the check then. And
well, that's what you ought to do.
Yeah, and we went to the bank Monday morning, canceled our check. The bank made a mistake that afternoon. She went to our bank and cashed the check. They didn't look at the screen.
Well, and you'd signed a stop order?
Yeah, well, we're stuck with the washing machine. We didn't get the $100 taken out of our account, but now the teller is going to have to take it out of her paycheck. Should I go through the hassle of...
What do you mean the teller has to take it out of her paycheck?
The bank is making the teller take it out of her paycheck.
I don't think that's legal.
Yeah, isn't it?
I don't believe that's legal.
Okay. Well, I wondered if
They can fire her, but I don't think they can take the money out of her paycheck.
Right. I wondered if I should take this woman to court just for the satisfaction that she doesn't do it to someone else.
Well, I'm not so sure that first of all, I don't know if you can do that. You see, your position is, let's separate things out a little bit here. Matter of fact, let's take a little time out because I got a feeling the separation process may take longer than I would like. Because we had to deal with the bank and we got to deal with the woman. Fair enough?
Right.
And we got to deal with you.
Right.
Okay. Stick around. We'll try and get all those things in the proper perspective in, a couple of minutes. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. I'm chatting with a lady who's a little unhappy in Duluth. She went out and bought a used washing machine for 100 beans and it doesn't work. Put a stop order in the check. Bank says that because the teller made a mistake, she's got to pay it. That's about the size of it?
Yep, that's it.
Well, let's start with the teller. I don't believe they can do that. I'd like to get a banker on, but it'll have to be real quick in a hurry at 212-245-6040. 212-245-6040. I don't believe you're allowed to do that. In most states, you cannot penalize your employees. You can fire them, for being stupid, but you can't take the money out of their pay, and I think that's the way it should be. The bank ought to eat this as things happen.
Right.
As to the woman, her position is going to be, look, it worked fine when I left here. I don't know what they did. Maybe they dropped it going up the stairs. I can't tell you. All I know...
Another thing we did is we took the model number off the washer, and we called a major store here in town that carries that brand, and they told me it was 8 years old, not 2 years old.
Now, you didn't tell me that.
Yeah, I forgot.
That's much more pertinent.
Yeah.
If you can show the ad...
Yeah, I do have the ad.
Fine. I think in small claims court, you would likely prevail.
Uh-huh.
And I would do that just to aggravate this lady.
Yeah, that's how I want to. I just feel like
you hate to
she'll do it to someone else.
Well, beyond that, you hate to see the clerk in the bank get banged.
Yeah.
And I think the bank, the people at the bank, I think, are being very unreasonable in that regard. That's a personal point of view. If she's that inefficient, fire her. If you got to do that.
Right.
But I don't think you'll take the money out of her pay.
Right.
I want you to hold on just a second here. Put this lady on hold. We're in the wrong bank here. Yes, I have Miami. Hello there.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, can you do that?
Yes, you can. If you read the fine print of the stop payment form, I'm sure it reads that the bank will use due diligence in not paying it, but if it is paid, the bank will not be responsible or liable for the loss.
But that's not what they're doing. What they're saying is they're going to give the money to the woman who put the stop order on, but take it out of the teller's pay.
Oh, they won't do that. Not any, I work for a very, very large bank, but I can't see them doing that at all. They're probably telling her that to make her feel sorry for the teller.
That's what I don't think it's legal.
No.
I don't believe you can do that.
I know, at least here in Florida, you cannot do that.
In most states you cannot as well. That's the point I was trying to make. No, I'm aware of what the bank could do. In terms of they can say that they did the best they could, and that's the way life is.
Exactly.
But I was questioning and quarreling with the idea of penalizing the clerk that made the error.
No, impossible. Cannot be done.
I'm on your side.
Okay.
Thanks very, very much.
Okay, have a good one.
All right. So Duluth, they're rattling their sword about that. They aren't going to take it out of the girl's pay.
Okay. I had talked to the teller, so maybe I can tell the teller will be relieved to hear that.
Mm-hmm. But I still would go down, and if I want, I'd give it to the bank, less expenses.
Right.
But I would absolutely on the idea that you can prove. Now you're going to have to get some documentation from a dealer, yes, saying that this machine is not in fact 2 years old, but rather 4 times that elderly.
Right.
Now the other part of this you got to collect after you do all this to this lady. Now I'll tell you one place you can find out where you can. Well, no, she cashed the check in the bank, didn't she? She didn't deposit it. That wouldn't help you then. I was going to say you know her bank account number, but you don't know that.
Yeah, and she doesn't belong to my bank.
You know, collecting belong to? I never thought of myself as belonging to a bank.
Well, the bank made the teller go to wanting to go to the woman's house to collect it even.
Is that right?
Yeah, and the teller was, scared to...
Terrified, sure.
Yeah.
Was this the bank or the bank manager doing all this?
This was the teller that I talked to.
No, but the bank manager is doing all this unreasonable stuff, huh?
It must be, yeah.
I think that somebody ought to have a serious talk with that guy or gal.
Right.
Explain the facts of life. That's why every wooden pencil almost comes with an eraser on the top. Because we all make mistakes. And you don't nail people to the wall for that.
Right.
In any event, I'd take this lady to small claims court, if nothing else, to aggravate the yes out of her.
Thanks so much.
I do wish you well. I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around. This is Talknet. Let's go to Bay City, Michigan. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
How you doing, kid?
I love your program. It's very enlightening, and it's just a lot of fun to listen to. I've got a little problem here, or a potential problem. I bought a house about 11 years ago, so small home, a piece of property that's 100 feet wide by 250 feet deep. And we lived here with no problem for several years, and then a neighbor to the south of us bought a place, and when he did that, he had a survey done.
Did you not have a survey when you bought yours?
No, I went by the property description. We were represented by an attorney.
And he didn't insist on a survey?
No.
Bad attorney.
Could be.
My opinion.
Okay, anyway, we saw the survey crew out there surveying one side of the lot, and we thought, well, let's get you out there and do the other side too. And he did that.
Mm-hmm.
And what it boiled down to was that my neighbor on the other side is about 4 inches over on my side of the property.
And what, this building?
His driveway is 4 inches on my side of the property.
Just his driveway, okay.
Yeah, his driveway, and what a... It was a strange deal. I guess 3 guys bought this property and built 3 houses, and when they whacked it up, they didn't pay much attention to anything.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm dealing with a guy that's mowing part of my lawn.
The 4 inches.
Well, he's mowing more than that. He's mowing about 6 feet of it, where there are a row of red pine trees, and he would like to have that part of the property. I wonder if I should, am I in danger of this guy saying I've used this land for X number of years and therefore it's mine or not?
That's a question for your attorney. I would think not in this instance. If he's mowing the grass next to your house, right?
Right.
And you mow the grass up to there.
Right.
I mean, I can tell you, I mow, or I don't, but the people who do my lawn mow a good portion of the backyard of my neighbors. They've been doing it, let them do it, right? I don't think I've acquired interest in my neighbor's backyard over the years. I don't think these folks are either, but by all means, check with your attorney to be certain what I say is true. There's a little more to adverse possession than just uninterrupted ownership.
What does adverse possession really mean?
What the common term is squatter's rights. It means that somebody gets to use a piece of property for a protracted period of time without interruption. Therefore, they acquire an interest in it.
I see.
Now, in the case of the driveway, that's a little different matter. That's a different matter. Now, there's a lot of ways to overcome this. One thing you can do is just have your neighbor pay for a very simple agreement where he leases that property for you from $1 a year for $1 a year.
Yeah. I don't want to hassle with the guy. He's a nice neighbor.
Well, then just tell him you don't want to hassle him. Talk to your attorney. Your attorney can draw up a very simple lease saying that you are leasing this 4 inches of property, but you're retaining ownership, and it's $1 a year and other important considerations, the usual garbage.
Okay.
Which should, but by all, don't sit. See what does the zone call for in your area? How many front feet?
Well, it's all illegal right now because...
Not illegal, non-conforming.
It's non-conforming because these lots, originally when they were drawn up, were 50-foot lots.
Yeah.
And, you can't build on anything that small.
What does the zone call for now?
I'm not sure, Bruce.
What do you have 100 foot, right?
I have 100 foot.
Well, you see, you may, if you were to give up this 4 inches, you'd only have 99 feet and 8 inches. And if the zone calls for 100 feet, you'd still be a non-conforming lot. That's why those 4 inches could be important to you.
Okay. I just want to know. Every spring, I go out and dig up this stake, and I make sure that he's there when I do it. And he always comes out and says, "Is there a problem?" I said, "No, there's not a problem. I just want to show you."
As I said, run that past your attorney as to whether that 4 inches has to be in some way acknowledged. That's all. I do wish you well, kid.
Well, I love your program. It's super.
Thank you very much. That's appreciated.
Talk to you later.
Okay, baby. I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around for more. This is Talknet. Virginia Beach, hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hello.
If anybody can help me, I think you can tonight.
Well, I will try. What's up, kid?
Well, first of all, my husband.
Uh-oh. One of those guys.
Yes.
One of the bad guys, yes.
I'm scared that his voice will be recognized, so he let me do the calling.
Oh, I see.
Anyway, he has been working for, it's a rent-to-own company.
For what, honey?
It's a rent-to-own company, a rental business.
Yeah, what does he rent?
Furniture, appliances, TV.
Okay, I know what you're talking about. He retains title until the rental is over, then it goes over to them.
Right, it's like a weekly or monthly rental.
These are generally people who have a little bit shakier credit.
Right, exactly. Well, when he took the job, okay, he had been unemployed for 3 weeks, so we were like, he was really needing a job. And to take the job, he had to sign an agreement, a competition and trade agreement.
Non-compete.
Right. And it says for 2 years that, he cannot go to another rental company. Well.
Where? In your area.
I guess, yeah.
Well, they can't knock him out of the box for the whole country.
Okay. But he's wanting to open a store. He's got some investors. Is there any way we can get around this? Any kind of a loophole?
Well, the first thing you ought to do is have an attorney look over the contract that he signed, because you see many of these non-compete agreements are clearly improper, illegal, not in the public interest, and some very much are. It's one thing when a company trains you and they invest in you and so forth, and you have access to their records and all that sort of stuff. It's not unreasonable to say we don't want you going into our customers for a while.
Right.
But on the other hand, if the company only does business in Norfolk, Virginia, or Virginia Beach, Virginia, where you are, and they say, well, you can't do any business in Gulfport, Mississippi, well, that's clearly unreasonable and unenforceable in most cases.
So we're wanting to stay around this area. Is there any way?
Well, how far? Let's go the other route. Let's try it another way. In your husband's present responsibilities, how far does he go from where you are? How far afield, in other words?
He's the manager there.
But how far? What's the trade? What's the trade area that you do business in? I guess that's what I'm trying to ask you.
Everything. I mean, he has the whole responsibility.
No. I'm sorry, I'm not asking the question properly. I want to know, how big a piece of geography does he cover?
Oh, just his store. Just
No.
Okay.
No.
Just in the city.
That's what I want to know. Is the city, or put another way, how far away do people come to go to his store?
Not just local, just around in the area.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. You see, they could reasonably say you can't do business in that area, but if you could prove that most of the customers come from the west side of town, there'd be no reason why he couldn't do business in the east side of town.
Okay, he just told me it's 30 miles radius.
That's all right. Now, is it reasonable to assume that most of the customers come in that? Does he do business in that 30-mile radius?
Yes.
Well, in that case, it may be a reasonable restriction on him. Hold on, just make one or two more questions.
Alrighty.
Is he well known to his customers?
Yes.
That's bad. You're giving me all the bad answers.
I'm sorry.
But you see what I want. If you said no, he's in the back room, nobody ever sees him, what difference would it make? But if he's visible and active and people like him and so forth, he would hurt them by leaving and going into competition with them.
I feel like he would draw a lot of the business away because he's made, good friends with the customers. They like him and respect him. And
that's good for your side, but bad for your side.
Also, there's one more question too. He is responsible. Like if items are missing, he has to pay for them.
That's wrong. That's illegal.
Really? I mean,
it's either that
or they fire him.
Fine, they get fired. Let him get fired. Then he can open up. If they fire him, I don't think the non-compete would count.
Oh, really?
Now, check with an attorney on that.
Okay.
If they fire him, he says, I'm not paying for these things. I didn't steal them.
Okay.
And they fire him. I think he's on his own. He can do what he wants to do.
Great. That's a big help.
But now, be certain to check with your attorney before you go out and do something.
I've talked with several attorneys on the phone.
And what do they say?
One says it'll stick. Another says no, it's not worth the paper it's written on.
But did you proceed with the idea that you didn't explore what you just told me?
Right.
But if things are missing, he's got to pay for them.
Right.
If he refuses, they'll fire him. If they fire him, I think he's on his own.
Okay.
Good luck, honey.
Thank you very much, Bruce.
Next time, have your husband talk through a sock. How would that be?
That would be great.
Okay, kid.
Okay, bye-bye.
All righty. I'd rather talk to the wives anyway. Who's kidding who? Joliet, Illinois.
Hi, Bruce. How you doing?
You're calling from the prison?
Nope. I'm calling from just outside there.
Oh, what the heck. I figured maybe you were in the slammer and had nothing better to do.
No.
What's up, kid?
My sister's house got hit by a tornado on August 28th. They came through here and tore about 2,000-3,000 homes down.
Yeah, you guys had some troublesome stuff in the Midwest there.
Oh, yes. She has nothing left but a concrete slab.
Is that right? Anybody hurt?
Nothing serious in their family, no.
Super.
Just some bumps and bruises and stuff like that.
But the whole house was wiped out, huh?
Yeah, just a little bit of pile of stuff left in the garage, but the house we couldn't even find any of it.
That's scary.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing when you can't even find your house.
Yeah.
But The question I have is she went around, tried to get some bids on rebuilding. She's chose to build a different style of house, a little bit different floor plan, a ranch, and she had a ranch. I just recently built my own home. Generaled out some of the things and a lot of the work I did myself.
Yeah.
And she came to me a few weeks ago and says, Joe, would you like to give me a price on building a house?
You said?
I said, I think I would like to.
What do you do for a living, Joe?
I sell office equipment.
Would you be able to do this and be able to build a house for her in a reasonable period of time?
Sure.
Okay.
I built mine in 4 months and 2 weeks.
Probably faster than the builder would have got done.
Yeah. Most builders are telling her 6 months, and I was telling her 6 months only because a lot of the subs are going to be extremely busy, and a few of the lumber yards I've been going to, they're already running out of wood. They can't get it in fast enough.
Is that right? Ever some, each, what do they say about one man's thing is another man's poison?
Right,
Boy,
right.
A lot of people are going to make money from this. Go ahead.
Tremendous amount of people are making a mint. But what's happening is a lot of the contractors are ripping people off. The standard rate of about $55 a square for roofing shingles are now going for $85.
Well, ripping off, I don't know. There's all of a sudden there's a tremendous demand for their services.
Well, good point. But what I was going to try to do is just be the general for her, and because it's my sister and because I don't know if I'm a nice guy or just plain stupid, I wasn't really going to charge her for it. I was just going to help her organize the whole thing, hire out all the subs. The few little tiny things that I would actually physically do, I would charge her for at a little bit less than the lowest bid.
Well, you're being a very nice guy. Go ahead.
I wanted to find out from you, in your divine wisdom.
Watch your mouth.
If I was going to open myself up to any liability.
Well, surely. Suppose, for the sake of discussion, that something goes wrong here. Your sister's going to have to catch somebody.
Well, no,
Wait a while. Suppose you'll clearly have to have insurance for the job. If anybody's hurt in the job site, you'll have to be most certain to make sure all your subs carry the appropriate liability insurance and or workers' comp.
Right.
And you got to be certain that they pay their bills.
Correct.
Otherwise, there'll be a mechanic's lien against your sister's house.
Correct. Now, one of the subcontractors that I know, and because he helped me build my house, and we've known each other for about a year now, and he said because I said to him, every single one of the subs that I had built my house, I got their insurance agent's name or a current paid certificate of insurance, both liability, workman's comp, and all.
You're on top of things. Go ahead.
Okay. Now, he said, Joe, picture the scenario. Say one of my guys is working on your house, and he cuts a finger off.
Mm-hmm.
Accidentally, things happen. He says, the first thing that guy's going to do is sue me because I'm his employer.
He can't sue him.
Well, no.
Workers' compensation precludes that.
Okay, well...
Unless you could demonstrate great negligence.
Well, if somebody else cuts his finger off.
That's a different matter.
Okay. Then he would sue his employer for hiring him to be there.
No, you can't sue your employer. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's what workers' compensation is all about, to preclude an employee. Courtney, I have to turn you loose, but let me leave you with a thought, okay?
Yeah?
Don't run away into the military. This is not like joining the Foreign Legion.
Yeah, but it's an answer, Neil.
I'm not Neil.
Sorry, Bruce.
Okay.
You know I didn't mean that.
I know, dear. All I'm saying is don't try to run away into the military. Want to go to the military, it's all right. But go for the right reasons, not the Foreign Legion. And there's no reason in the world why a woman as articulate as you are and as bright as you seem to be couldn't put herself through junior college. If you get decent grades in junior college, there will be ample scholarship funds around to get you through school. Now, it ain't going to be easy, and there'll be no $10,000 sports cars or whatever, and it may cut down on your social life. But the whole question is, do you have the strength of character to show your parents and show yourself that you're somebody special? There's only one person in the world, of all the billions of people, only one person in the world who can answer that question, Courtney. Guess who that is?
Oh, let me guess.
Yeah, you got it, kid. So listen, think about it. If you want to give me a call back, I'd be delighted to talk to you about it again. Fair enough?
Yeah, thanks, Bruce.
At least, you got a friend in New York. Fair enough?
Okay.
Okay, Courtney.
Bye.
That's tough. I can understand, but I don't understand parents who say, you got to get out of my house. Well, here's $10,000 for a sports car. Somehow or other, that just doesn't wash. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet.
You're listening to Bruce Williams on Toledo's Home for Talknet, WSPD 1370 AM stereo.
Dayton, Ohio. Thank you for your patience. What's on your mind?
Hi, Bruce. I have a question concerning a paper I had to sign at the closing of a house that we just purchased.
Were you represented by counsel?
I knew you were going to ask me that.
Because that's the person you should ask before you sign anything. And the answer is you weren't represented by counsel.
We were not. That's
Clearly.
correct.
All right. Go ahead. What was the paper?
You'll still answer my question, won't you?
Well, if I can, but the point is it's after the fact, and it could be too late. What was the paper?
It may be too late. It was a hazard insurance authorization and requirement.
Yeah.
And it had a whole list of requirements that we had to have in our insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was the amount of the deductible.
They limited that to what?
They said we had to have $250 deductible.
Not 500 or 1,000.
And I wanted 500.
Well.
And I had already purchased a policy.
Mm-hmm.
I just wondered if this was standard.
No, it is not. It is not, but it could have been it could have been argued, I suspect, and the bank would have, in advance, would have probably backed off. It's a matter of policy. It is not a matter of law. They just want the money there in case there's something goes wrong. They can't get burned too badly. But the difference between a $2,500 and $500 in premium, as you came to find out, can be substantial.
Exactly.
And the reason for that is not the $250. The reason is that they don't get nickel and dime for this, because it costs just as much to process a $300 or $400 claim as it does to cost a $3,000 or $4,000 or a $30,000 or $40,000 claim. The processing costs are essentially the same. And the insurance company is saying, we'll give you a better premium if we don't have to hear about those nickel and dime losses.
And I would prefer to insure just on the catastrophes. I mean, we've never filed a claim, and I always thought, why should we pay these higher premiums?
Exactly. I get down and talk to somebody in the loan department of the bank.
So they cannot, by law, require me to do this.
I didn't say that. You gratuitously signed that.
That's right.
And they can say, look, they are not required to loan you money by law either.
Right, exactly. Because that's just like those disability policies that they put on loans. They can't require you to have, but then they won't loan you the money.
They don't have to loan you the money, that's right. But I go down and talk to somebody, a senior loan officer, and the chances are they could waive that for you.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot.
But next time out, let me ask you a question. Here we go. Pick on that lady. Why didn't you use an attorney?
You know, I listen to you all the time, and when it came time for us to buy this house, it's not our first house, I said to my husband, I think we ought to have an attorney look over these papers. And we even talked to our realtor. Now, we were doing this in a different state.
Well, that makes a difference.
And so he talked to, we talked to the realtor that was in the other state, and she had an attorney that could look over the papers. And then my husband talked to an attorney in his office, and he said that if we had title insurance, we didn't need an attorney.
Well, your attorney in your office ought to be, at the very least, sent back for a law school 2 and 3. At the most, disbarred. Tell them I said so. That's stupid. But that's so incredibly dumb what he just said. Really, if that's an accurate quote, he's incredibly stupid when he says, if you have title insurance, you don't need an attorney. How old was this miscreant?
I don't know. I'm not sure how old he is.
Oh my goodness gracious! What does your husband do for a living?
He's in the Air Force.
Oh, this attorney was in the Air Force, huh?
Uh-huh.
I hope to God he's not fixing airplanes. Does he have anything to do with things that fly? In that case, I'm going to buy an air shelter. Oh, he's a sicko. But more important is nobody's talking about.
Right.
Oh, is he giving poor kids in the Air Force advice, this guy?
I don't think so.
I hope not.
I think he's a contract lawyer.
Oh, that's terrific. He contracts for $10,000 toilet seats and that kind of stuff, huh? Now, there's the answer, Mr. Bush. You get rid of this kid and things are going to straighten out.
Now, don't say bad things about the Air Force.
This cut me a break. I used to wear a blue suit. I was there. Of course, we had pterodactyls instead of aircraft at the time, but nonetheless.
Well, he seemed to say that, if it was just going to be a simple deal.
Yeah, sure. He's incompetent.
Then tell me the attorney would have helped us out with this, correct?
He would have addressed the question to him. That's correct. More important, and I must turn you loose. But here's the thing. You just went to this closing, right?
That's right. And we'll buy again. So
all right. Let me ask you a question. Now, how old are you? You're
35.
All right. And what's your first name?
Joyce.
Joyce, you're an honest lady, are you not?
Yes, I am.
I'm prepared to bet you any kind of sum of money you want to wager right now that you don't know what you signed at that closing. You could not recite what you signed.
I have copies of all of it.
And understand each one of them.
No, I don't.
I'll bet you my life on it.
You're right, I don't.
Well, you see, that's why I want somebody there that at least allegedly understands and will be responsible if I sign something that I shouldn't through his or her negligence. Now, that's worth $600 to me.
Right.
And I've signed a ton more of these papers, I think, than you have.
Right, I'm sure you have.
And I would never go to a closing, ever, without my guy sitting right next to me.
And you should have him there at the closing, not
only
necessarily look at the papers beforehand.
Not just at the closing. He walks through the whole process.
Well, right, but you should also have him there physically at the closing.
I don't go half the time, but he goes.
That was another thing. They made us come physically to the state where we were bind.
Well, that's nonsense. You've had an attorney there, he could have handled the whole thing, and you wouldn't have been there.
They said that we wanted to do that, and they said that they would not, the buyers had to be there in person. They would not use the power of attorney.
Well,
is that another?
If you had an attorney that had any juice and knew his way around the barn,
then maybe that could have
you'd have stayed right home there, and you could have gone on a picnic with this creep that says he's an attorney in the Air Force. I wish you well, sweetheart.
Thanks.
Hey, he's in our Air Force, huh?
Oh,
well. I wish you well. I hope the new home is everything you want it to be.
I hope so, too.
I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around. This is Talknet. We're going to Burbank, California. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
Listen, I wanted to tell you, I listen to you every night. You come on here around from 11 to 2 p.m. in the morning.
Uh-huh.
And the problem I have is with our tax guy. My fiance convinced me to get my taxes done through this guy because she says he'd always been pretty good. So we went in around March 10th with our returns.
All right.
And come around April, the 10th or so, my fiance decided to call this guy, and he had said that there had been a death in the family, and that he hadn't gotten a chance to do things yet. So around April 14th or 15th, I decided I was getting a little nervous, and I decided to call him up. Well, I got an answering machine.
Time is you have to capsulize now. I've only got about 40 seconds.
Okay, well, the thing is, all I get is an answering machine. Every time I call this guy, he already told us on one of his messages that we had gotten an extension. And I figured you get your taxes done early, and you won't need an extension.
Well, that's true, but the extension doesn't cost anything unless you owe money, and then you will be.
Well, I don't believe that we owe any money. The only problem is we've increased our amount of calls to this guy every week, and now it's like 2 or 3 times.
All right, hold on now. And then no return was filed. Is that correct?
Right.
All you had was an extension. Is that also correct?
According to him, we haven't gotten any. He hasn't.
Well, wait a minute.
Any of our phone calls.
Well, wait a minute. You just told. Let's take him at face.
Uh-huh.
He filed for an extension. Well, anybody can do that. It's just a matter of bing, bing, bing on a form, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have somebody else help you with your taxes.
Okay, but the thing is, he's got all of our forms.
Well, then, that's another matter. He has everything, all the records in his.
He's got all of it in his possession.
I don't know what to tell you. You have an address for him?
Yeah.
Go pound on his door.
Okay.
I mean, go late in the evening when he's bound to be home and pound on his door. I'll let somebody else do the job. I really would. Hey, it ain't easy. That's true. But give it your very best shot. You try and do what's right. You do indeed. I'm Bruce Williams. Please, keep in touch.
In business school, and my wife and I have 2 cars. We're able to pay the note on both cars, but we don't really need the second car.
Well, this is the car that you bought in April of '88?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Problem is I owe about $1,200 more on the car than I can get for it.
You know what they call that, don't you?
The rule of 78.
No, that's maybe what did you in, but it's called an upside down deal, where you bought the car with no money down, or very little money down, and a trade-in, and they gave you a ton of money. The trade-in was more than the car was worth. Which was it?
You got that right.
Okay. So it really wasn't money. It was just the paper money. You're going to have to cough up to $1,200, Daddy.
Well, I thought about another idea, but I wanted to get some input on it before I attempted it.
Lay it on me.
What about getting someone else to take over the note?
Bad deal.
Okay.
I'll tell you why. If the kind of person that would go in and pay $1,200 more than the car is worth is not wrapped too tight, are they? Or their credit is very, very shaky. Now, the last thing you want to do is have somebody take over the payments. They get the car, really run it to the ground. Now the car is worth $5,000 less than the note, and you got to pay it.
I think I'll just pay on it for another year or so and see how much it's worth then.
Well, it's still going to be upside down.
Really?
You bet. Can you afford to take $1,200 out of your pocket and pay it off and get rid of the car?
I have about $2,500 total in savings.
Well, you know, I know it sounds crazy to get rid of half your savings, but that would probably be the way to go. How much are your payments every month on this pig?
$248.
All right, so that's $3,000 a year, right?
Yes, sir.
At the end of the and plus insurance.
Yes, sir.
At the end of the year, the car will be worth even less. I'd pay the $1,200 off, sell it, and pay the difference off, and just know you had a bad deal.
Thank you for your advice.
I wish you well, my friend. Good luck in school.
Thank you.
We're going to stay in Louisiana to Baton Rouge, but we're going a little inland. Hello there.
Hey, Bruce, how you doing?
I am very well, thank you.
Okay, being in Louisiana here, we found ourselves in a situation where we have the highest unemployment rate around nowadays.
Well, I don't know if it's the highest, but it's certainly a lot higher because of the oil thing you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
So as a result of that, what we're thinking about doing, we're having a problem trying to find a decent cash flow type job here.
Mm-hmm.
So
what did you do?
Well, previously I was working as a counselor, you know, at a local, one of the universities.
As a counselor? What kind of counselor?
Counseling students within the resident halls.
Sure. You mean like an RA?
No, RA was resident assistant.
Yeah, but I mean that kind of a
in that
role. That's sort of that kind of a role.
Right.
Okay, except that you weren't a student; you were a full-time employee.
Exactly.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so what we anticipate doing now is investing X number of $1,000s into a mobile restaurant.
Well, when you say X, what kind of X?
Well, we putting in somewhere like $9,000.
And this is we say mobile restaurant.
Yeah.
They actually have old converted buses you walk into. I don't think that's what you're talking about, are you?
No. This is being built from the ground.
This is like a lunch wagon. The doors pull up on the side, and you go to construction sites and that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's 8 by 14, with a little bit over 100 and some odd square feet under the roof. And it'll be totally self-contained.
Now, wait a minute. Well, hold on now. Maybe I'm confused, so I want to get a visual picture. Are we talking about the kind of truck where you pull the flaps up and then people walk, you stand outside your truck and there's sandwiches and coffee and that kind of stuff? Or are we talking about something where you stay inside kind of a step van and serve the stuff out through the window?
Right. We're on the inside.
Okay, that's a little different.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. A lot of these guys, they sell a lot of hot dogs and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's air conditioned inside and self-contained with the propane.
Yeah, but the customer's always outside, right?
Customer's always outside.
Gotcha. Now I know what we're talking about.
And we meeting all the health department requirements, etc. And the menu is going to be something with hand dipped ice cream and po' boys and sandwiches and fish burgers, etc.
Gotcha.
What do you think about such?
Well, it's a highly competitive enterprise. There's a lot of guys doing this.
Yeah.
So the trick is you got to have places where you can go where there are going to be people. Now, some of the fellows work construction sites, and there's not a whole lot of construction going on, I got a feeling right now.
No, it isn't.
They'll be outside factories. You got to be somewhere where people are or on a highway, but that takes a while to develop the clientele.
Well, we were thinking about in the university area.
Well, that's another point. And you have some pretty nice looking schools in your part of the world because I've visited them.
Right.
I know that there's a university 15 minutes from my house.
Okay.
And when you drive down the main drag, I mean bumper to bumper, pizza trucks, hot dog trucks, hoagie trucks, you name it. Because, college kids are like human garbage pails,
Yeah.
You stick it in one end and, yeah, if you can get a location near the campus, or on the campus someplace, if there's a public street running through the campus where you can park, that could be money from home. You got to sell kid type foods and sell them at a price.
Right.
But sure, you can make a living doing that and a good living.
Okay, that sounds good. I just wanted to get your input on that.
Well, you're talking to an old peddler. You realize that?
Say again?
You're talking to an old peddler. Oh, yeah, I'm serious. I drove hard pack ice cream trucks, meaning the regular conventional ice cream. I drove a soft ice cream truck for a while.
Well, you know what I'm talking about.
I used to go out before 11 o'clock in the morning and not get in until 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
On the ice cream thing.
Yeah, I realize There's a lot of time has to be, put into it and a lot of planning.
There's a lot of effort, let me tell you.
Yeah.
But if you're good at what you do and you're friendly with the people and they kind of look forward to seeing you and so forth, you can make a buck.
Okay, I sure appreciate the info.
I do wish you well, my friend.
I thank you.
I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around for more. This is Talknet.
Listening to Bruce Williams on Toledo's home for Talknet, WSPD 1370 AM stereo.
Reminding you tomorrow between 2 and 5:30, kind of unusual time, 2 and 5:30 Eastern Daylight Time. We'll be taking your calls off the air for broadcast later that very same day. And then the following week on Thursday, I'm going to be down with you guys and gals in the Dallas area at the Grand Ballroom at the Reunion Hyatt, all courtesy of KLIF Radio, and I do hope you'll join me. Friday evening, it's Keys Night in Longview, Texas. We'll be at the Kilgore College at 7:30 in the evening, and then onward and upward on Saturday to Texarkana, 1400 KMLA put it together. We'll be with you guys and gals and in Texarkana. I'm looking hard here. It's at Texarkana College Auditorium. I knew there was the place, so if you'd like to come by and see me, just give your local station a call. They'll make you aware of the merchants who have the free tickets. I'm looking forward to it. Texarkana, by golly. Oh, no, I can't go there. First, I want to talk to Buffalo, to my friend Jack, the hopeful, still non-smoker. Hello, Jack.
Hello, Bruce. How you doing?
Okay, I talked to Jack when we were at Mouse World here a couple of weeks ago, and we got talking about smoking, and then Jack decided to quit for a half an hour. How you doing?
I'm doing real good, Bruce. Tomorrow will be 2 weeks.
Congratulations. That's super. I am delighted for you.
I really can't believe it, but I'm doing well.
Super.
I'm hanging in there.
All right. And your food tasting any better?
Yes, it does. And smell is coming back.
How about, is your wife smoking still?
She's having about 4 a day.
How about, isn't that kind of like kissing an ashtray?
I would assume so. I can't believe how they smell, though. I really...
Yeah, really, after a while, I frankly still, I'm going to tell you, once you're a smoker, you're always a smoker, in my opinion. I've been, 9 years now, something like that order. But the one place that it really, two places. On an airplane, it bothers me. And when I'm playing 21 in a casino, which I don't do much anymore, but they actually have non-smoking tables in the casinos now. That's how much they're putting the pressure on the smokers to knock it off.
No, I've been in a few restaurants, and that hasn't bothered me too much right now. I'm really amazed. I never thought I could do this.
Hey, you're doing fine, Jack. So tomorrow, you're not going to smoke till tomorrow anyway, right?
For sure, Bruce.
There you go. You only do 1 day at a time, 1 hour at a time. Just bite it off in little bitty chunks.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Jack, I wish you well. We'll talk again.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Right.
Really appreciate it.
Okay, kid.
Bye right now.
I'll tell you, that's the rest of you guys who want to quit smoking. Don't quit for life. Don't quit for a month. Don't quit for a week. Quit for an hour. 1 hour. Anybody can quit for an hour. At the end of that hour, quit for a second hour. Just do it 1 hour at a time. Hey, you can do it. Hey, somebody with no willpower like me can do it. Be a cinch for you. Texarkana, hello there.
Howdy.
What can we do you out of?
I had a question about mortgages and tax deductions. I mean, I realize I have a home mortgage, $80,000 mortgage, and I realize that it's fully deductible. So I have an observation, really, that $5,200 of that deduction I had anyway. So, and only the excess.
What do you mean by that?
Because I got a standard deduction of $5,200 if I had a mortgage or not, for me and my wife.
Oh, well, you don't itemize your taxes.
Well, I mean, I will this year, obviously.
See, if you don't itemize, it doesn't mean anything to you.
Right, but I mean, by itemizing only, in other words, I had the $5,200.
Yeah, well, some people it doesn't pay to itemize.
Right.
It just doesn't pay. If your income is one level and you just have no deductions, you just don't itemize. That's all.
Right, but people are always talking about how great it is to have a mortgage because all the interest is deductible. I personally wouldn't want to have a mortgage if I didn't have to, and just take the standard deduction.
But you see, that's your situation. But
I understand.
But more people than not, their life is complicated enough where they have to itemize, and in that circumstance, then all of the mortgage interest is deductible.
But $5,200 would have been anyway, so really just that part I get anyway, whether I have a mortgage or not.
With a standard deduction.
Right.
Yeah,
so their Schedule A minus $5,200 is their excess.
I understand. I understand what you're telling me.
Okay. Well, I want the world to hear it.
Okay, you did it, kid.
Thank you.
I wish you well. Fort Myers, Florida. Hello there. Welcome to Talknet.
Hey, Bruce. How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing fine, thank you.
Several months ago, I heard an advertisement for
a company that did research on credit cards.
Yeah.
And what they did was they compiled a monthly publication that listed all the credit card issuing banks in the country and their rates and all kinds of stuff. It sounded really useful.
Well, what is it you want to know?
I'm going to be transferring. I'd like to find a cheaper interest rate on the credit card, and part of the advertising was they said we have banks that go as low as 12.5%.
I think about 14% is about the. Maybe you can do 12.5 some places.
Yeah, but at any rate,
But let me ask you this: why would you look for that?
Because I want to go ahead and get another card and transfer some of the stuff I got at 18.5%.
Well, why are you carrying money at 18.5%? Period.
Well, because I can't pay it off right now.
Why? Well, then why don't you?
I'm not getting anywhere trying to nudge it down, you know.
You're strangled. You see, what I'm trying to get to is that you're not going to like this very much.
Okay.
But when you have to spend money and charge it on a credit card at 18%, you're acting frivolously most times.
Right.
It's money you shouldn't have spent. What were these funds spent for?
Oh boy, I had problems a couple of years ago, and been working real hard to overcome those problems. Don't want to get into that, but
well, what I'm getting
it was
to
from being compulsive, basically. I guess
okay.
That's the easy way.
Well,
to
you'd be better off. You own your own home?
No, I don't.
Okay. You'd be better off to try to get a personal loan. At the more favorable rate of interest. I think you'll do better than a credit card in almost every case. A personal loan, yeah. And furthermore, there's another thing that you said you got yourself in a little bit of trouble a couple of years ago.
Right.
The overwhelming likelihood is you won't get one of those lowest cards.
Pardon me?
The overwhelming likelihood is you will not get one of those lowest rated cards.
Well,
They're very, very picky.
Even though I had the problems, I was able to maintain a great credit reference.
Oh,
I never been late on a bill or anything.
Oh, then I take back what I just said. Yeah. But the lowest rates on the cards, they are very picky, very selective as to who they have to be.
Oh, sure.
Because they cannot eat the higher losses that the guys who are getting 18, 20, 21, 22% are getting. I
guess my question was, how can I go about finding this publication? I heard it a couple months ago, and
I don't know about
the
publication. But I do not know of the publication. But I think you'll find if you go to or write to Money Magazine, they have from time to time published the lists of, not necessarily the most complete, but pretty complete, I guess. The various spreads across the country, who does what. I'm sure you could find it in Money Magazine in a past issue, and I suspect they must have a reader's service. If you write to them, they can help you.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Bruce. You've been helpful.
You're very welcome. Good luck, my friend. But my comment and my observation still stands. If you have to charge things on your credit cards and you can't pay them off right away, and I'm not talking about revolving credit in the department store because you're buying $3,000 worth of furniture, that kind of stuff. I'm talking about when you dine out, or you grab a pair of pants on your card. If you cannot afford to pay that on time, then you're buying something beyond your means. And if you must finance, you're far better advised to borrow the money on a personal basis. You'll do better on the interest rates. Hey, tomorrow, between 2 and 5:30, give me a hand. I got a plane to catch, and I'm going to put my show on tape for broadcast a few hours later. The number 800-TALKNET. 800-TALKNET. And think about this. You can help me with a recording session, and then hear yourself and tell all your friends to hear yourself on the radio. I'm Bruce Williams for Talknet. Boston, Mass. It's your turn on Talknet. Hello.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
On my own, I'm coming into some money. And I'm good with fix-me-ups, houses. And I was wondering, have you ever heard or known anybody dealing with the sheriff sales of those legal notice mortgage sales?
Me. Me.
Yeah. Are they good? Can you get a good deal out of them?
Sometimes, but it's a professional activity. It's not amateur night.
Right.
And, so many are postponed and that sort of thing. You've got to go look at the properties. If you want to be a bottom fisherman, there's nothing wrong with that. I think you're in the wrong part of the country for that. I mean, the real estate market in Boston has certainly softened. It's still very strong.
Right. I've done well with it myself.
Yeah. But I'm
just in 2 houses I've done well, and
Okay.
that's what I want to do.
Yeah, but you got to be very careful. It's a lot easier, or a lot more difficult today than it was 2 years ago, even a year ago.
Yeah.
And
even the suburban area you're talking. I'm not
talking about the whole damn country right now, with a couple of exceptions of maybe the Washington D.C. area, parts of Southern California, parts of the Bay Area in California. The rest of the country is soft,
right?
Including Boston, including when I say Boston, I'm talking about New England,
right?
Now, I mean, it isn't as soft as other places. It certainly isn't as soft as Oklahoma City, but it's nonetheless soft.
Right.
Okay, now what I'm trying to get to is there's a lot more skill required today. And for the amateur, and that's what you are just yet,
right?
I would be looking around for private sales, looking around for people who are in trouble financially, that would like to get rid of their house in a hurry, and they haven't been able to, and foreclosure is imminent.
How would you find these people in trouble?
Advertise. Network.
Oh.
What do you do for a living?
I work in a rental company.
What do you mean by that?
The tools. Something
All right.
like that.
Now, how many people come in there every day?
80.
How many of them know you're looking for distressed merchandise, distressed properties?
Nothing. Nobody.
Well, when 80 times 6 is, what, 480 people a day, a week, huh?
Right.
That'd be 480 people out there. The penalty for foul language to a TLC inspector.
It's a required appearance at the TLC court.
And what happens when you get there, or do you know?
You're stuffed into a room with a bunch of people that are smoking in an overcrowded situation.
Spare me all that. I'm going to know what happens when you get there. Do they fine you? Do they suspend you? Do they hang you in effigy?
And it'll probably be about $100 fine, in addition to the other tickets that I got, which $100 for sitting at a bus stop and $50 for not filling out my trip sheet properly.
Wow. Expensive afternoon, huh?
Yeah, it was.
And they'll hit you for all of those?
Yeah, and I mean, there's also the other question of a double jeopardy. I mean, in theory, a police officer could have been there and given me a ticket for the exact same offense, and the TLC department could have been there and given me a ticket for the exact same offense. So I could have been holding 2 tickets.
Would that, as a practical matter, happen?
As a practical matter, no. It's one in a million.
There's no double jeopardy then?
Yeah. Well, in theory, there could be a double jeopardy.
In theory, there could be a lot of things.
True.
In theory, a flagpole can fall on you. Therefore, there should be no flagpoles.
Right.
No, I would probably go down. I would try to get the thing consolidated in some way. You have to go. And hopefully that they can suspend at least one or more of these penalties, but you're going to pay something.
Okay, so you don't have any advice as far as the legality of them issuing tickets?
I don't know what the parameters of their authority are, but I suspect that the guy feels that he can be sustained. He'll have to be there to testify.
Right.
And I can't imagine he just issues these things with the idea, well, that they'll be reversed.
No, certainly not.
But you have no choice at this point. Go and see what happens.
I just spoken to other inspectors.
What do they have to say? What do the other hackers
They seem to feel that they know that many of these issues are unconstitutional, and the only reason they're doing them is because most of the drivers that are driving today are ill-equipped to fight them.
Well, today or yesterday.
Well,
I mean, what the difference is, what you're implying is, and accurately so, that many of the drivers are foreign-born and have limited assets and limited abilities to fight the system that they're not very comfortable in. But
fortunately, I'm only doing this for another couple of weeks, so I might just forget the whole.
Well, I was going to say, if it's only a couple of weeks, you might want to forfeit your license.
Right. I think that would probably be best.
Yeah, well, that's another program.
I would recommend.
Because there's nothing else they can do to you, I don't think.
Right. Okay.
I wish you well, my friend.
All right, thank you very much.
Driving a cab is tough. It's a tough way to make a living. Hello there, Detroit. Your turn.
Good talking to you. I love your show.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm a nurse. I work in a large hospital, and I have a question regarding professional liability insurance.
All right.
The hospital covers us to a point. I really don't know how much offhand.
Well, that's the first thing you ought to know.
Okay.
To what point?
I got a feeling it's not much. A lot of my friends have their own additions.
Yeah. Do you not belong to any kind of professional organization?
No, I don't.
Well, that's probably the best source of insurance for you, the least expensive source.
Well, my question is really whether or not I need it. I've heard that if you do carry additional insurance, you're more likely to be named in a lawsuit because you have the coverage. I don't know if that's true or not. And if you're only covered with what you're provided by the hospital, they wouldn't bother with you.
Well, that's not necessarily true. If I were in your position, first of all, you see we have a huge unknown here. That's what are the basic limits of what you already have.
Okay.
And so if the hospital carries, say, 2 or 3 million, you're covered. If they only have a couple 100,000, you're bare or close to bare.
Do you think I'd be more likely to be named if the more insurance I had?
No, I don't really think so, because if you were involved in the alleged incident, it would be pretty difficult to leave you out, even if they wanted to. No, sir, I think that the first thing you ought to do is determine how much is in place. Second thing is what is available, and by all means explore what might be available if you belong to some kind of a professional organization, because more often than not, because of their group affiliation, they can get a much better buy than you could just on the open market. And of course, ask your colleagues what they're doing and what they're buying.
That's why I'm getting the mixed answers.
Ask them. Wrong. You've been asking the wrong questions. That's why you're getting the wrong answers. Don't ask them, should you carry insurance? Because I don't think they're qualified to answer that question. You ask them, where do you carry the insurance, if in fact you do? And what do you pay for it?
Okay, one more quick thing. Do the lawyers have a way of finding out who does and who does not carry insurance?
All you got to do is ask. You got to tell them.
Okay.
Through discovery. Furthermore, you got to tell them how much and what company.
Really? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Easy.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I wish you well, my friend. I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around. This is Talknet. Off we go to Foggy Bottom, USA, otherwise known as our nation's capital, Washington. Hello.
Bruce.
You betcha.
How are you today?
I am real well, thanks.
I talked with you a couple of years ago, and your advice was right on the money, so I thought I'd go back to the well.
Well, we're batting 1,000. Maybe we ought to quit while we're ahead, huh?
I've been in the retail stockbrokers business for the past 13 years, and got out of it about a year and a half ago. And my partner and I started up a 900 nationwide investment advisory timing service.
How's that going?
Well, the customers that we've gotten, we're keeping. I would match our short-term timing advice with anybody in the country.
How did you attract those people?
Originally, I was hooked up with a newsletter writer out of Washington, D.C., and he advertised it for me for about 4 months.
In his newsletter?
Right. And we picked up a following and have kept it.
How big how many newsletters and how many of those people did you get?
Well, I think his circulation was about 10,000, and we got about an average of 40 callers a day.
Okay.
Which is a decent starting point.
I would think so.
And since then, I got in touch with an advertising agency that basically had told me they specialized in the service and have some of the bigger names that the public would know.
For example?
Robert Prechter, a fellow named Peter Elides.
Well, you're talking about people who write newsletters.
Well, they have newsletters, and also they have 900 services.
Is that so? Okay.
Yeah, they're getting real big these days. And some of the bigger letter writers that do have numbers are getting calls in the thousands a day.
Thousands a day?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm trying to find out, again, the best way to promote it. I went through an advertising agency and was promised for, not promised, but I said, what can I expect? And the woman told me for X amount of dollars, which we ran ads twice a week in the major periodicals, for a 6-week period, we should increase our call count up to about 150 a day. And the net result was no increase whatsoever.
Obviously, and that advertising didn't help you, or your other business is falling off for whatever reason.
Well, just from doing it for the length of time we've been doing it, it was pretty much, since then I figured out we targeted the wrong market. But I guess question one is, with these sort of promises from an advertising agency, do I have any recourse at all?
No. Okay. So. At very best, an agency is giving their subjective opinion.
Right.
This is where we ought to be hunting, and this is what ought to come out of it. They can't guarantee that unless it's on a per-inquiry basis or a per-sale basis.
Right.
But what kind of publications are you advertising in?
Should I mention the name?
Yeah, go ahead.
Investors Daily, twice a week. Barron's once a week.
Mm-hmm. Wall Street Journal, that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, we hit the Journal. We also do commodities, so we hit the Chicago edition of the Journal.
I understand.
And, with that, I expected that to work, and it didn't. And I'm really trying to find out if you would know another way to approach the marketing of it.
Well, there are a ton of guys and gals, but mostly men, that are doing investment advisory shows. There are a lot of people that view my program as a financial show. I personally do not. But on the other hand, we do some commercials for various investment services, including the publications that you just mentioned.
Right.
And it would appear it works because they're still with us. It might be that you might want to explore that kind of a program, radio program. I wouldn't try to do it nationally to begin with. I'd do it in the local market.
Right.
Here in Washington, WRC is a fine radio station. Whether it would work on a program like mine is something you'd have to find out and spend some money. There are other programs that are much more narrow than mine. They really focus on stocks and bonds and whatever.
Right.
And it may well be that kind of a radio program would work. Because at least the listeners to that kind of radio are interested in the sort of thing that you're doing. Otherwise, they'd be listening to something else.
Right. I was wondering, as far as the radio goes, if you knew of any other financial services that did radio advertising and were successful with it.
A ton. When I did local radio in New York, I had a ton of sponsors that advertised financial stuff. And I have a significant number on individual stations around the country where I do a local commercial, not a network commercial, where I do a local on a station like WRC.
Right.
A ton of those. So sure, does everything work? Obviously not. If that were the case, it would just be a matter of solving the problem would solve itself. And we both know that that's not the case.
Right.
But if one form of advertising doesn't work, that doesn't mean that the product isn't any good. It just means you haven't reached the people that need your service. And it could be that you're in the right vehicle with the wrong ad.
Yeah,
it could be you're in the right vehicle with but not long enough. There's so many variables. Advertising is anything but an exact science. It's not even an art.
Right. So you think the length of time has a lot to do with it also?
Oh, absolutely. If somebody comes to me and wants to buy a very short flight, I won't sell it to them. Nor will I become part of it in terms of voicing a commercial. Why? I don't want to see a failure, and short flights are almost always failures.
Right. Well, that's why I figured, 6 weeks would be a good, time frame.
Except you went 6 weeks twice a week.
Pardon me?
You said you went twice a week.
Well, twice a week for a 6-week period.
But that's only 12 insertions.
True.
I would rather have 12 insertions over 2 weeks.
I see.
Than I would 12 over 6.
Okay.
Constant repetition. I'd rather have 12 maybe in a week.
Well, we'll have to give that a try then.
That's what we're talking about intensity.
Right.
You could, if you go over a long period of time, you had a very, very weak flight. I think they gave you bad advice in that regard. I'd much prefer to have the impressions made time and time again over a shorter period of time.
All right, one more thing, Bruce.
I'll tell you what, you have to hang on a second. We'll go around the corner. I'm Bruce Williams.
Sure.
This is Talknet. I was talking to a gentleman in Washington, D.C. with 7 seconds to go. He says, one more thing. Your timing was exquisite. What's the one more thing?
Bruce, I heard a couple of weeks on your show, a fellow was calling in about opening up a car wash. And I didn't hear the full response, but there's one national magazine that actually will sell you a manual and a computer spreadsheet program for basically any type of business you want to start up. And I didn't know if you would...
What's the name of the magazine?
Pardon me?
What is the name of the magazine?
It's Entrepreneur. And I opened up a health club with a buddy of mine, and the material that they sent to us was very valuable and inexpensive.
Very well. Hey, you've given them a plug.
Okay.
I do wish you well.
All right.
Let's go now to Buffalo, New York. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce. I listen to you all the time.
Thank you.
I have a question. I send out a bunch of resumes, and I know that you don't like that. So
well,
now
not necessarily. I just think that they are overused and ill-used.
I'll agree, because I've done that over the last couple months, and I haven't had much luck with it. So I'm calling to ask, how would you formulate your letter, being short and brief as you say that you would like it, that would be good enough to catch somebody's attention? I mean, I know that's personal, but...
Well, what are you looking for?
I'm in the property management field.
What does that mean?
That means managing residential buildings or large commercial buildings.
All right. How much experience have you had in that endeavor?
About 2 years.
Were you good at what you did? Now, that's a tight thing. Before you answer, and can you demonstrate that?
Well, I took a building that had 60 vacancies in a 200-unit building and have occupied, well, there's about three empty apartments at this time.
Or you took it from essentially a 30% vacancy factor to a 1% vacancy factor. That's the first thing I put in my first paragraph.
Okay.
First thing. My job experience is somewhat limited, but the fact is I took a building from a 32% vacancy factor to a 1% vacancy factor in whatever period of time it took.
Okay.
That's got to catch my attention if I'm in your field.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And how, one paragraph, two paragraphs, again? It's
certainly no more than one page.
Okay.
Double-spaced. Capitalized.
Okay.
Make it easy to read, clear. Don't use obscure terms, and respect the individual's time who's reading it, and also respect their intelligence.
Okay.
In other words, don't say things that are so clear, that are so clearly apparent.
Okay. Okay, that helps. Can I make one comment? The other day I heard you talk about what movie part you should play, or should you only do that in writing?
Well, you can talk. I think I was talking about television.
Okay, television. I was thinking of something like a problem-solving type of person, like Columbo or Agatha Christie, that type of, where it takes up the intrigue. Nope, too big for you?
Well, I don't really want to be an actor.
Oh, okay.
I've been asked to do so much on television that is inane. And one of the comments I made was a while ago, I was asked to do a little drop-in on a national television show.
Mm-hmm.
And they were not happy with what I did, and that's certainly their prerogative and their privilege, and I respect that. But I was equally unhappy with what they were doing on the show. I thought it was inane. And the rejoinder was from the producer, who was a very knowledgeable lady. She said, well, our research shows that's what housewives want to watch. And I had to comment that I thought perhaps a little more of young women than you do, because I just can't imagine that among other things, watching someone pull the hairs out of the host's legs is super entertainment. Now, maybe I'm wrong.
Well, then something as basic as someone who solves some problems and shows some intelligence, because I think that would be your line.
Well, I think we're going to wind up in some kind of an interview environment before it's over, but I'm just curious as to what you guys were thinking, because I have a feeling somebody out there's got a hell of an idea, and I'd just like it shared with me.
Okay,
I do wish you well, my friend.
Bye now.
I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around for more. I do hope you like what you hear here. You're here. This is Talknet. Brighton, Michigan. Hello there.
Hi, Mr. Williams.
How you doing, baby?
I deliver pizza for a living when I'm not going to graduate school.
Boy, that's a tough racket.
But I get to listen to you quite frequently on a local radio station in Ann Arbor.
Uh-huh.
And it's really neat. And I guess one of my favorite things about your show is to hear you say, oh, you're not listening, or something like that.
Well, sometimes there's someone who's not listening too clearly.
Okay. Well,
Andy, or perhaps I'm not communicating as well as I should. That's another program. What's on your mind, my friend? Between the anchovies and the rest of it.
Yeah.
Ooh, anchovies on Caesar salad, fine on pizza. Ooh. Wow.
Okay. Speaking of lawyers,
here's a segue from anchovies to lawyers. Go ahead.
You speak often about folks who are going to purchase a home and the necessity of having a lawyer look over contracts and whatever else.
It is my contention that a lawyer is an absolute requisite in that process. You bet.
Okay. Several years ago, my wife and I bought mobile home and a little bit of land from her grandmother, who went to a foster care home. And Mom, my wife's mom, was very adamant about seeing a lawyer. I mean, she threw a fit. You have to see a lawyer. Well, it was 2 or 3 years before I was introduced to your show, and so I understand why she was so furious about the necessity of it now. But when we bought that house, she did all that stuff. Now my wife and I have bought some land. We are going to put a basement in and have a modular home brought in and put on top of it.
Not the same place.
Not the same place.
Okay.
Not far away, but not the same place. And my question is, when do you bring the lawyer into the action?
You already didn't bring him in on time. You said you bought a piece of property already?
Well, we haven't got the title from the state yet.
From the who?
From the state.
You're buying it on what, on auction or something of that nature?
Mm-hmm. It was the year after tax sale, when it's irredeemable by the original owner.
Well, it occurs to me that real transactions are A, complicated, and B, problems can develop literally a dozen years down range.
Okay.
For example, who guarantees a title on this property?
The state.
They do? For how long?
Oh, I didn't ask.
Well, isn't that a question that should be asked?
Okay.
Do you have title insurance? But the answer is probably no.
Probably not.
And you should, in my opinion, never own a piece of property without title policy payable to you. Who contracted for the surveys? Are they certified to you?
I think my mom did that.
Is it certified to you?
Probably not.
See, these are things that your attorney would advise you in. Maria, how much do you pay for the property?
$5,000.
Got it pretty cheap, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, even at $5,000, and unless you deliver a lot of pizza, you don't get $5,000.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it be worth spending maybe $300 to protect that investment?
Well, sure.
And the attorney should have been there before any money changed hands.
Okay. Well, it was a spur of the moment thing. I mean, we wanted to buy some land, and it came up, and it was close.
I have no problem with that.
Okay.
Maybe you got a hell of a bargain. I hope you did.
Okay.
But I just think every document that carries your signature should be reviewed by an attorney prior to you affixing that signature.
Okay. Now. Okay, I'm glad you did that, because I'll have to get busy with that. But now that we're going to be putting a basement in and having a modular home or prefab or whatever they're called.
Well, be certain that among other things, that somebody assures you that what you're doing is correct with regard to zoning, building codes, all that sort of thing.
Okay.
You don't need an attorney for that, but somebody's got to guarantee you that.
All right. Now, when you talk about the attorney, you don't mean specifically the purchase agreement, do you?
Among other things.
Okay. Now,
the deed.
This is where I got butterflies in my stomach just thinking about the scenario. Is I'm sitting in the office, and he's flipping over pages. Okay, can you put an X sign here, sign here, sign here?
Yep.
And I give him timeout sign and say, wait, let me go run these over to my attorney. Is that proper etiquette?
The attorney, hell with etiquette.
Okay.
It's your money. And your attorney should be sitting next to you.
Okay.
Not running it across town. He should be sitting there.
All right.
Is this okay, Harry? Is this okay, Harry? What about this? What does this mean? And he should explain those things to you as part of his job or her job.
All righty.
Good luck, kid.
You've been a big help.
I appreciate it. Good luck with the new house. I'm Bruce Williams, and you bet. Allowance or something like that.
Right, exactly.
Sure.
Well, the roommate I had, it was basically just for convenience, to split the rent, because, I don't get all that much for my housing allowance. Well, we don't get along at all. It's horrible. And government housing just opened up, a lease opened up that I can get into, and I put in my letter Friday for a 30-day notice. I told my roommate and the landlord.
Well, let's back up a little bit, though.
Okay.
You guys have a lease of some kind?
Yes, we do.
Well, how do you give a 30-day notice just like that? I mean, unilaterally.
Well, I put in, because we both had to sign the lease.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was going to break my part of the lease.
Oh, you see, you don't have a part of the lease.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole lease there.
Right.
That you're singularly and jointly responsible for.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So I put in a 30-day notice to break, because we both had to sign a different lease.
Mm-hmm.
So I put in my 30-day notice, and the landlord says I can't break my lease.
Yeah, he's probably right.
Okay. Now, if my roommate stays there, you know, and I move out, you know, they say that I'm still responsible for my end of the...
That's true.
That is true.
Yes, sir. You see, suppose the landlord came rapping on your wood yesterday and said, and forget about the fact that the government housing came up, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And he started pounding on the door and said, look, Charlie, my kid just got home from college. I need your place. You'd say, what are you, crazy? I have a lease, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cuts both ways.
I see. But
now, what you ought to do is stop down at your legal office on your base and see if they can help you in some way.
Okay.
And you also probably have the right to sublet, but how do you sublet with a roommate?
Yeah, see, that's the thing, because I said I would sublet it, and my roommate says, well, I don't want to room with anybody.
Yeah.
Now, at that point there, you know, if he's not willing to do that and he's still living there, now he's then responsible for the whole rent.
Who said that? Who said that?
That's part of the contract on our lease.
It says that if he refuses to accept the roommate,
well, we're both responsible for the whole rent.
I understand that, but does it say in there that he has to accept another roommate?
No.
Well, you just said it did. I think you're wrong, Tiger.
So I'm just gonna have to tough it out with him, huh?
Well, how much longer you got to go?
Probably like 9 months.
Oh, you just got started on this.
Well, we just renewed the lease, yeah.
I think that you, at the very least, before you go out and do something foolish, you ought to run this by the base legal office.
Okay.
And see if is this guy a troop too?
No, that's the problem. See, otherwise I could get it hooked up with a government lease there, but because he's a civilian, I can't.
Mm-hmm. I'd stop at the base legal office before you do something foolish.
Mm-hmm.
Take good care, kid.
All right, thanks, Bruce.
That's tough, you know, but when you sign something, baby, it's TNT in your fingertips. I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around for more. This is Talknet. All righty, we got a Pleasanton, California. Hello there. Welcome to Talknet.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
We've got a big pine tree in our front yard. It must be 50 feet tall at least.
50 feet? That's a good-sized tree.
Oh, we've lived here over 20 years, and it was a big one when we moved in. And the roots of it are lifting our driveway, but the trouble is it's also lifting our neighbor's driveway.
Yeah.
And I just wonder, I don't want to kill this tree.
I don't think you have to worry about that too much.
You mean we can have a tree surgeon come out and cut roots on both sides of it?
Well, I don't know about both sides, but as far as, whose driveway are we worried about the most, your neighbor's or yours? If the tree is that big, look, first of all, let's back up a step, all right?
Yeah.
Before you take out your little handy-dandy hatchet, I want you to talk to somebody. But I think you're going to find if the tree is as large as you've described, it's got one giant root system. And taking out a few roots that are surface roots that are causing a problem for the driveway, I don't think is going to injure that tree.
Because this tree is beautiful and it's
I understand
so much
that.
shade.
It's also huge, which means it's got a huge root system. And just, taking out a few veins out of that system, I don't think it's going to make any difference.
Well, our own driveway is much worse because the tree is much closer to our driveway.
Well, you can solve your problem in a couple of ways. You can go up.
We can what?
You can raise the driveway. I'll talk to somebody who knows you can raise the driveway, you can rebuild it, you can put rock underneath it that the roots will go through. Eventually it's going to get you, but for a long time.
And then it would still go down into our garage. We could raise the driveway and still drive into the garage.
Well, I don't know. I'm what you're dealing with. What I'm trying to say, and I tell you what, let me see if I can find some approbation for what I'm about to say, all right? So I'm looking for a tree expert, but I believe if the tree is as large as you've described, if the roots are cut properly, selectively,
yes,
I think you can do it without hurting the tree to any great extent. But let's see if I'm wrong, okay?
Oh, I sure
you
hope
hold
so.
on. The number is 212-245-6040, 212-245-6040. If you are a tree surgeon and learned in this area, give me a shout. It's hard for me to believe that if it was done properly with a tree that size that you couldn't take off several major roots and not do any lasting damage. But if I'm wrong, I want to know about it. 212-245-6040. In the meantime, we will go to Rochester, Michigan. Hello there.
Bruce, Hi.
I have a question for you regarding tax time, okay?
April 15th is sneaking up, and you get a break this year. April 15th is Easter, so they let you slide till the next day. Isn't that nice?
Oh, yes, that's just wonderful.
Yeah, I can see that you roll a pitter about that.
If I'm not getting a refund, unfortunately, this year. I'm going to owe, actually, it's $3,000. And I own two homes, or I don't own them completely. But
yeah, you and the bank.
Right. But I'm fairly close to owning them. I only have a few years left on both of them. And I have other assets, stocks and those types of things.
Okay, well, you owe $3,000, so.
Okay, right. I owe $3,000, but I don't have $3,000 in cash. I have.
Well, you said you had stocks. That's
right. I know. Now my question is, if you'll just hold on a second, my question is, the first $1,000 is going to be no problem. Now the next $2,000 after that, I really don't want to sell off any of my stocks or my house, but then again, I know no one does.
Well, wait a minute. Let's back up though. How much stock do you have? What's it worth?
It's over $100,000.
Well, you can borrow against the stock.
Right. Now that's my only decision, or my only decision to make is I have to borrow against something. I don't have to, but if I'm going to borrow against something, what should I borrow against?
Well, if you borrow against your homes, other things being equal, it's tax deductible. But a couple $1,000, what difference does it make either way?
Right.
The interest on a couple of grand is going to be what? At the outside, $300.
Right.
So you're talking about it.
And the only difference is going to be one. If I borrow from one place, it might be 5% cheaper than another. But if I pay it back in 4 or 5 months, that's not going to make any difference.
Yes, it is going to make a difference. Borrow at the cheapest rate.
Okay, but I know. But if that requires more trouble, then say to get a home equity loan might take a little bit more of my time than to take.
You pick up the phone and you get it from your stockbroker instantly.
Okay, you would recommend margin, so that.
I didn't say. No, wait a minute. You're putting words in my mouth.
Okay.
I mean, either first of all, you should have a home equity line of credit in place.
Okay.
Ahead of time, so you can draw it down instantly.
Which I don't. So.
No, get it. If you got 15 days, you can get a home equity line in 15 days.
Okay. What would I am not asking tying you down to one particular percentage rate, but what would that be in the range of?
Oh, that depends. You see, money is like anything else. What business are you in?
Pardon? I'm in the construction business.
All right, fine. How much is it going to cost me for 2,000 board feet of 2x10?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
What am I saying?
It all depends on, if I ask you how much money is going to cost me, well, it all depends on my exact circumstances.
No, it doesn't. That's part of it. What else is it? Well, in the illustration I just gave you, right? You're telling me that 2,000 board feet of 2x10 will be the same price every day?
No, definitely
No, because one guy is sitting there with a couple of trailers he can't unload. He's going to lower the price, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Another guy is running a little bit tight, and he's got to send out for.
Shop around is what you're saying.
Well, certainly, because one day the lender has a ton of money to get rid of, and he's going to make deals. The next day he's a little bit short. He's not looking to do business.
I understand.
Money is like any other commodity. Well, most people don't for whatever reason. Seriously, they think, well, all banks have lots of money, which is not true.
No, and I understand a lot of people just go to one bank and whatever they tell them, they think it's all they're going to find anywhere else.
Exactly. And which is clearly untrue.
I'm not that ignorant, but
well, it's not a question of ignorance, really. It's just, you know what it is mostly? It's sort of laziness.
Yeah.
Most people choose the bank because it's the one down on the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Or has the blue sign, or that's where their mother and father.
Well, I look at it. I'm doing them a favor by borrowing money from them.
You and I are holding hands, kid. You're absolutely right.
Okay.
But for a lousy $2,000 in your circumstance, I go the easiest way. That's what it comes down to.
Go the easiest way.
Whatever's easy for you. But I would get a line of credit in place anyway.
Yeah, but if that's tax deductible, that can that's quite a big advantage.
No, it amounts to nothing. It amounts to yes, but it's tax deductible for a bigger loan. But for $2,000 for 4 months, it doesn't amount to a hill of beans.
Right, but in case I need it in the future.
Exactly. And let me one more tip, okay? Apply for it when they're having a sale, because oftentimes you'll get a thing in the mail or you see an advertisement or hear one that says if you apply now, there's no startup fees.
Right, I've seen a local bank doing that.
Well, that's the time to apply then.
Okay.
Take good care. I'm Bruce Williams saying, yep, this is Talknet.
A friend is as close as your phone. 1-800-TALKNET.
All righty, I've got a landscaper from Fraser, California. Hello there.
Hello, how you doing?
I am doing well, thank you. Let me set the stage here. The reason you called, that lady in California as well, Pleasanton, has her description 50-foot pine, which is sending some roots out and causing some driveway problems. And she wants to know what can be done. It was my contention, rightly or wrongly, that properly done by someone who knows their business, some selective root cutting can be done on a tree of that stature, that size, without permanently damaging the tree? Your turn.
Okay. First of all, whenever you mess around with any roots, there's always a chance that you can, the tree can die.
Okay.
But you can limit your risk factor. Like if you just go in there and cut out half the roots, you might have about a 60-70% chance of killing the tree.
Mm-hmm.
But you can limit it by, first of all, if 10 to 1, if she has surface roots, that means she probably has sprinkler system and she's watering mainly by surface instead of deep watering. So she can stop the future roots by not by taking the hose out there and letting it soak in like once a month, so the water will go straight down. Then she won't get as many surface roots coming back.
How about driving down a Wells point or something and forcing water down 10 or 15 feet?
That will work too. I mean, if all she does is just take the hose and just put it drip, 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 and just leave it out there 24 hours, that would do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as cutting the roots, what she should do is deep water the tree about a week or two before she's going to do this work, so that it makes sure that it has a lot of moisture in the tree, and also fertilize it. Use urea or something like that. She'll have to contact her local landscaper. Out here, when you're dealing with a tree that size, you almost want a combination of a landscaper who does tree surgery work also.
Mm-hmm.
And then she can fertilize the tree. But then as far as taking out the roots, I don't think it'll do any damage if she pre-waters and pre-fertilizes beforehand, because what you're doing is making sure the tree is really healthy before you start doing cutting on it.
Furthermore, a tree 50 feet high, that's a hell of a big tree. It's going to have one monster root system someplace just to keep it upright.
Well, the biggest danger she may have is the fact is, in certain areas in California, we really have a beetle infestation. And one of them is called the turpentine beetle, which attacks the root system. So whoever she has to do the trimming, they may have to make sure that they seal the roots really good so the beetle doesn't get a foothold into the tree.
One other question before I let you go, because time is becoming an element here. Is there a better time of the year to do this?
I think right now is, I wouldn't do it when we're going into the winter time, but right now is probably a perfect time because you're getting the new growth coming in now.
Very well. Hey, thank you very much.
Okay.
Take good care. All right, let me see. Pleasanton, did you listen in on all that?
Oh, that was very good. Thank you.
All righty. So now you got to go and do all those good things and make certain that the root beetle doesn't attack. And who said life should be simple? You're very welcome.
Bye-bye.
And that's what this whole thing is about, getting folks from around the country, experts in their craft, to get together with us. I spent the weekend in Jamaica. Now, I don't mean Jamaica, New York. I'm talking about the country of Jamaica. It was, at the very least, an interesting excursion. I mean, I had a delightful time with the Rastonic folks, and that's why I was down there. I was agreeably surprised about some things in Jamaica, and very disappointed about others. Let me say this before we go into our little commercial interlude. I was very agreeably surprised with the people. They could have been more pleasant, more gracious, friendly, none of the animosity which, rightly or wrongly, they've earned a reputation for. I've had a fine time as far as the people. I didn't have one bad experience with an employee or whatever. But at that point, well, that excludes government employees, by the way. To be continued. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. There was in the hotel I was in, which was one of the bigger hotels in Montego Bay, they had what they laughingly called a disco. Of course, nobody's in, but they did have movies. Yeah, I saw a movie on Thursday night, and I got to tell you, the couple of fellas in that movie, there's a future for them. Jim Mason and Cary, what was his name, Grant? Yeah, North by Northwest. That was the movie. That was a big no television, which I suppose you get along out. No rugs, nice tile floors. When you got past the swimming and the pool, it was a long weekend. Except I was working, and I think that they have the potential for such a lot there, but they clearly haven't got their act together. I, of course, read local newspapers like a sponge. The Gleaner is the local newspaper of choice there. And apparently there's a lot of political infighting and worse, I mean, physical fighting among themselves, which I think they're going to have to beat. The economy's in the dumper. They have everywhere you look signs, be nice to a tourist, which is smart because tourism is their main industry. And if you kill off your main industry, you're in world trouble. I think they've made some excellent inroads in that regard. But I got to tell you, if you're thinking about a Jamaican vacation right now, I think you can do better elsewhere. Unless you're into doing absolutely zip. Eating, swimming, and going to bed. If that's it, I think you'd have a ball. But if you want anything more, a little nightlife, a little playing around, anything, I think Jamaica, and oh yeah, before I leave Jamaica alone, the government can learn a little bit. And I realize they have narcotic problems down there, all that sort of good stuff. But I've left the United States on, I don't know how many hundred occasions, as I'm sure many of you have in other countries. I've never been searched so thoroughly on the way out of a country. On the way out, not the way in, the way out. Didn't touch you the way in, the way out. And little things like, I had some money to change. And no one told me you had to hang on to your receipt. Now, it's clear it said so on the receipt, but who reads those things? You walk in, you thump a couple $100 down, you get the local dollar. She said, oh, nope, can't change your money. Well, fortunately, there's a guy in line back. I mean, he changed it for me at the end of that. But little things like that, I think some of these smaller governments have to learn that little things like that can turn off the tourist, and the tourist is their main source of revenue. The weather was good. Kirkland, Washington. Oh, I'll tell you, in our group, however many people, they're all angling to get off the island a day early. Now, that tells you something. Kirkland, Washington. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
It's an honor to talk with you.
You're very kind. What's on your mind?
I found a vacation property on a river a couple hours from Seattle, and it's a little more money than I want to spend, and I want to buy it in partnership with 2 or 3 friends, and I've talked with them, and they're all interested. They would like to do the same thing.
Well,
what I want to avoid is converting friends to enemies, and I want to structure an agreement that covers all the contingencies up front, and before the attorney's meter starts running, I'd like to identify the contingencies and develop solutions between them.
If I were you guys, I wouldn't do it. What do you think of that? You see, if you told me, look, I want to start a business with several people, and we all have different levels of expertise and whatever, I had no quarrel with that, you know?
Right.
Here you're walking into something where you all figure, well, I can't afford it, but I mean, together we can, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't even consider such a thing. I can see nothing but all kinds of problems coming from that kind of a relationship. Well, that's not what you wanted to hear. I know that.
No, and I respect your opinion. I expected you to say that.
Okay.
But if you were to do such a thing, all I'm looking for is, I'm not trying to convince you that.
Oh, then don't put it that way. It's like saying, well, Bruce, if you jumped into the Grand Canyon on the way down, what would your thoughts be? I'm not about to jump, so I'm not going to have any thoughts on the way down.
Well,
now, if you want to say, hey, if I did something this foolish, how can I minimize my chances for getting burned? We can have a discussion.
All right. If I were to do something this foolish, how can I minimize my chances for getting burned?
Well, the first thing you got to do is sit down with all these cats and play worst case scenario. You know, with a couple of shooters if necessary. In other words, what happens if one of you dies?
Right.
What happens if one of you decides they need the money? How do you protect yourself so that if one of you gets in trouble financially, the rest of you aren't saddled with his problems?
Right.
For example, an IRS lien on your property, on his share of your property.
Right.
What happens if somebody wants out? What happens if somebody can't meet his or her payments? So they get out that way.
Well, I've already done that with them, and we've got a list of about 20 different problems like that could develop. But what I'm looking for is, rather than recreating the wheel, But got to believe that the people have been through this before, and there ought to be a book or something that's been written that.
Well, there may or may not have been a book. I don't know of one, and a decent attorney can go through some of the possible. I mean, some are pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Life insurance could solve a lot of the problems if you're all about the same age and you're all in decent health.
Right.
And you're all young, because when the older you get, temporary life insurance becomes a lot more expensive.
Right.
So that would solve the problem of what happens when somebody dies, their heir gets the money, and you guys get the interest in the property.
Right.
What happens if somebody gets in trouble with someone like the IRS? I don't know any solution to that. That's part of the exposure you're going to have.
Yeah.
What happens if there's a lien against the property from someone else? I don't know the answer to that. I don't know that there is a satisfactory solution to that, except pay it off out of your own pockets, you guys.
Right.
And I don't see how satisfactory that is. What happens if someone wants out, and none of the rest of you want to buy them out? What then? I don't know any answer to that one.
but somebody's gone through this.
Well, they can go through it all they want. I mean, they're people have thought about perpetual motion since the dawn of time, but nobody has solved the problem, or the fountain of youth and whatever. Some of the situations we've described have no solutions.
Well,
there is none.
I was just hoping that either you or one of your listeners would have been through this and can say, yeah, there's a great book on the subject and you can cover. I know there's not.
And you can start with a want ads, can't you?
So
Situation coming up, Chef.
Okay, well, I rented an apartment for about 6 months. And when I signed the lease, they gave me a parking sticker to park my car in a small lot across the street.
That's a privately owned lot?
Right.
By the guy who owns the apartment.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Seems reasonable.
Now, the sticker couldn't be placed on the window because it was sticky on the wrong side. It was not one of those inspection stickers type things where you can stick it on the inside of your windshield.
You got to stick it on the outside.
Right. Well, they've had a lot of people ripping them off the outside of the cars. So what a manager of the building said to do was to stick it on a small piece of cardboard or whatever and put it on the inside of the car, which I did.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the management is not on site of this apartment building, so there's a towing company who was told that whenever they swung by, if there was any cars there without a parking sticker, to tow the car away. Now, this is the weather's been getting quite hot recently, so I have a sun shield that I put up, the kind you unfold and put in the windshield. So I put that in and woke up the next morning and found my car towed.
Well, where was your sticker visible?
No, it was not visible.
But that's your fault, isn't it?
Well, I would believe so.
Well,
I for hiding the sticker, but okay. Well, I guess that's my question is basically even though the management company, the car's been parked there for over 6 months, even the towing company should have recognized the car.
No, I don't think that's a fair. I think maybe as a practical matter that might be true, but hey, I'm the new driver today.
Right.
I don't know who's out there. All I know is they say no sticker, tow it away, Charlie. You see, in the absence of that, I understand your frustration, okay?
Right.
But if you didn't do that, you wouldn't be able to park there anyway, because every Tom, Dick, and Harry would be parked over there. I assume that parking is a little bit of a premium in that area.
Right.
Well, if we're going to enforce it with towing, and let's face it, I don't know about you, but I've parked the place I'm not supposed to park. We're reserved parking for somebody else, but I had to make a stop or whatever, so I parked there. And the one thing that used to keep me out of one lot, not as often as I might, because they used to put chains up. You were stuck inside. Of course, I was devious, picked up the chain one time and he chained me in. But, it makes me as bad as the rest of the people. Maybe worse.
I appreciate the situation, but it's a question about, $110.
Wow, $110 for a tow job?
Oh, yeah, well, that's my other question with them. It seems like the two of them, there's a little sharing.
Oh, that's outrageous. Now you and I are holding hands, baby. I wouldn't pay him $110.
Yeah, well, that's, what can I do? I mean, I've called him, and he's given me the basic, that you're a tough luck.
What, the management people?
The management people.
Where in the world do they come up with that price?
The toll, the extra $60 goes to somebody. I'm suspecting some kind of kickback.
Well, who do you pay it to?
I had to pay the towing company.
110.
110.
Well, where's the $60 going?
Well, that's a good question.
Well, I sure want a good answer if I were you.
I'm getting a lot of stone.
Okay. See, the answer is a crime you committed here.
Okay.
Tell them you understand the towing charge. But who gets the other $60? And also find out if there's any, in most communities,
right,
of any consequence, there are restrictions on the fees that can be paid for involuntary towing.
How can I get access? Is there in the library? Can I look that up?
No, I think you probably call Department of Licenses in your community. Well, first of all, you call Town Hall. Here's where you start the telephone chase.
Right.
What agency supervises, licenses, or otherwise controls the towing operations in this jurisdiction?
Sure.
They're going to put you on the phone with somebody. You may wind up with 10 people before you get done.
Okay.
But I want to know. I mean, the idea they told you, I'd say, well, that's light. But 110, how far they tow you?
It's about 3 miles, actually.
I see, they're out of their mind. Absolutely out of their mind, $110.
Right.
And I'd have a long, serious talk with the landlord about that.
Okay, well, it's the management company.
I'm in New Jersey about 4 months ago. I've been paying the utility bills every month for the common areas. I don't live in the house. Mm-hmm. It's strictly for investment at the moment.
Sure.
And I've been paying my bills on time, and suddenly the utility company sends me this little letter. Can I read a little part of it to you?
Sure.
You must complete the enclosed commercial and industrial service application for service at the property and return it to us along with a $500 security deposit within 10 days. We base our deposit requirement on the amount needed to cover 2 months average use of service. And once I establish good credit, I can get my deposit back.
Do you have other properties with the same utility?
No, I don't.
Well, that's a problem.
But I've been paying my bills for 3 months. I've already established credit with them.
Not that quickly. Do you have? Let's not get panicky now. Do you have credit with other utilities elsewhere?
In the co-op that I live, the utilities are included with my name.
And then the answer is no, right?
Not in that name, no.
In your name, then the chances are you have to pay the deposit.
Uh-huh.
You'll get it back in a year or so. And they'll give you a big, generous 5% interest on it, probably.
It's 6.5%.
Oh,
but why should I have to pay this if I have already been paying my bills on time?
Because it fell through the cracks. Their system is that you have to have either I have established credit with utilities, and what I do is I put them in touch with a different utility. I don't have to pay any deposits. I don't care to do that. But if you're going from the get-go, you've never had credit with the utility. More than likely, unless you're an extremely solid citizen, you're going to have to pay a deposit. Now, you want to make a fuss, go over to New Jersey and talk to a representative and say, look, I'm worth $1 million. I got this, that, the other thing. These are my bank references. The likelihood they'll waive it for you. But you're going to have to establish a lot more than just that you own a building.
Okay, now my first 3 months' bills have been coming in at $114.91 and $68, and they want $500, which they claim is needed to cover 2 months' average.
You might be able to get that adjusted as well.
Uh-huh.
Get it adjusted downward. You say, look, empirically we can demonstrate I don't burn that much. But what are we talking about? Well, instead we're talking about $300 instead of $500.
No, we're talking about maybe $90 a month average for the 3 months.
Well, all right, but you might be able to. I don't think they're going to bring it down quite that low. Maybe they will, but you never get unless you ask, and you're not going to do that on the telephone.
Sure.
You got to go over to, in this case, Newark, New Jersey, and talk to them.
Okay.
Good luck, my friend.
Thank you.
Onward to Attleboro, Massachusetts. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce.
Hi.
I'm having a real estate problem, and
What's
I'm hoping
happening?
you can help me.
Let's talk.
Okay. Several months ago, my husband and I put a deposit on a home in another state, and it was contingent upon our selling our home in this state by a certain date.
And that was spelled out in the contract.
Yes. And we did have a buyer for our property, but as things progressed, it became clear that they wouldn't be able to close by the agreed-upon date.
All right.
So we drew up releases, and we gave our buyers back their deposit, and that was that.
Why did you do that?
Well, I don't know.
Yes, you do.
Should we have not done that, or we just wanted to, kind of put an end to the whole thing?
Why?
Well, they couldn't buy the home, so we didn't.
Wait a minute. You said they couldn't do it by the date. Could they have done it if you gave another 30 days?
30 to 60 days, and it was still not sure. They were going to a federal program, and it was all very up in the air.
All right.
And the date that we had agreed upon was very important to us because we have a child starting school, and we didn't want to have her start school and then.
What difference does it make? I hear parents say that. What difference does it make?
It makes a big difference to me. She's kind of shy and. Well, it was.
Mama. Really? Please.
It was important to us.
Okay.
Okay. And the problem we're having is the real estate agent in the other state kind of not returning our calls regarding our deposits. It's kind of like pulling teeth. When I am able to get a hold of her, she told me that there was a letter being sent out saying that their real estate company would hold our deposit for 30 days.
For what reason?
Well, she told me that was to give the seller time to decide whether or not they were going to sue us.
So what is the seller going to sue? On what basis are they going to sue you? There was a contingency that wasn't met.
Right, I know.
So why don't you point that out to her and point out to her that you may have to sue her?
I should do that, really?
The real estate person, say, look, there was a contingency in this contract. The contingency was that this contract with your seller was, I hate use the word again, contingent upon our selling our house by a certain date. That sale did not take place. The buyers were unable to meet that deadline. Therefore, our contract is null and void. Therefore, send me my money back. And I'd send her a letter to that effect, and I'd send a copy to the real estate commission in whatever state this is in.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It's nonsense. That's what
that's
contingencies are all about.
That's what I think. But, now she's not returning my calls, and, it's getting to be a big problem. So just go ahead and send her the letter?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But do me a favor, will you? Don't worry about your kid changing school. No, really. Look at the number. How old is this youngster?
5.
For pity's sake, look at these kids that have been raised with the military And I've had 10 schools in 15 years.
Oh, I know, but
There's nothing wrong with that. And I speak from some reasonable experience in that, having owned a private school for 14 years.
Really?
And dealt with children your youngster's age.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't matter. Okay, kids that age, you can shove them into a new school, they don't speak the language.
Really?
And 2 weeks later, they're chattering away in the language, and you're sitting there saying, "Como estão?" You know? Really? The kids are very adjustable if you allow them to be.
Mm-hmm.
And if you protect them and you shelter them and whatever, all you wind up with is a very, very maladjusted youngster. Okay. And kids are oftentimes shy because you don't let them be outgoing.
Yeah, that may be true.
I wish you well, dear.
Thank you.
Hang in there. I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around for more. We're giving you what I hope is the very best of conversation radio. We call it Talknet. Mess around when you shop, do you?
Oh, no.
Going big time.
It's not that we can't afford it. We do make good money.
How much do you guys earn?
50 plus.
Okay, so you're in for a lot of money, but it's a doable number.
Yeah, I've got several options of, you know.
What are these options? Let's explore them.
Okay, first of all, I'm trying to keep it from the husband, which is really bad.
That's some option, huh, baby?
Yeah, but due to a lot of other reasons, I prefer to keep it from him.
If you can. Are you employed?
Yes.
Okay.
One, I have $10,000 in the bank and CDs.
All right, who handles the money in the family? Let's begin with that.
I do.
You pay the bills?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can take and borrow against that $10,000, which is 10% above whatever it's.
Whatever they're paying you, right?
I think I'm getting about 8 now.
Well, but so it's 2% above whatever they're paying.
Right, I can borrow against.
But you still got to pay the entire 10%. Yeah. Because your husband undoubtedly knows about this CD.
But it's mine.
Without regard to that.
He doesn't care.
Well,
that's just something that's mine and it's never even thought about.
Well, it's going to be thought about in 2 places.
At tax time.
You got it. That's exactly what I was about to point out. If you receive interest income, he's most certainly going to know about that, right?
Yeah.
And if you're paid interest income, if you pay interest, he's going to know about that.
It's not a problem, no.
Okay. It's not. I don't understand something. I have no problem with you burying the thing, but I'm asking how you're going to bury it on these items. That's all. If the other girl told me, I'm trying to help you do this dirty deed of burying it. You understand?
Yes, I understand.
And I'm saying if you start monkeying with a CD, I don't see how he's not going to know.
Well, I don't know, it's just my money, so it's...
Well, I understand that, but you're back to the same thing. It's your money. You can just take the damn CD and pay it and be done with it. I think you'd be, assuming that you've got your misuse of credit under control.
Oh, yeah, that's no problem now.
I would borrow the money against the CD and pay back the bank. You're going to save yourself a ton of interest.
I just keep thinking, you look at credit cards, I know, I know what they're charging and everything, but sometimes you do crazy things.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
All right.
So
I do it that route. I'm curious about one thing. You don't think is he altogether just out of it? He didn't see all these clothes and things coming into the house?
He doesn't really care.
Well, it's not a question of caring.
He just we make good money, and he knows that I'm a bargain hunter.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that so I can really hunt bargains.
How old is this guy?
Not old enough.
How old?
In his mid-30s.
Uh-huh.
Very immature. Not that I'm not either.
I hear you. Well, I think that the wisest course would be the one that you described.
Borrow against the CDs.
Yeah, but then pay it back as quickly as you can.
Do you have how many years or?
I don't know. I'd have to know your budget and what your other obligations are.
My budget runs about I'm paying out now about $1,400. That's mortgage, car payment, plus credit card payment.
Well, that's $20,000. Your tax bill would be about $15,000. Mm-hmm. That's $35,000. You get $35,000 for other things like living.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, $15,000 for other things like living.
We live all right.
It's going to take you, I would imagine, a couple, 3 years.
That's what I was thinking. At least 2 to 3 years.
Yeah. The other alternative is get a part-time job.
Oh, I can know.
You don't like that idea,
no.
Huh?
I work hard enough now.
Have a big lawn sale.
But I was thinking I was paying out now about, you're talking $5 probably now, just on minimum payments and stuff like that. So.
But the problem with that is, dear, that of every dollar you send in, 20% is going to interest only, not reducing your debt.
Right, and most of the time, even if I try to pay above the minimum amount.
Well,
but even the minimum amount is just like interest. That's just the interest.
Exactly right.
So I'm not making any headway.
You're just swimming upstream. You're
right.
absolutely correct.
So I
set a schedule. Set a schedule for yourself. So you borrow $10,000, and then set a schedule, which is reasonable. We'll say 30 months, and you pay it off in 30 months, equal installments every month or every bi-monthly if you can.
Right.
I wish you well, dear.
Okay, thanks a lot, Bruce.
Take good care. Bye-bye. Well, I'll tell you, though, people do dig themselves big graves in this credit card thing. Livonia, I believe, Michigan. Hello there.
Howdy, Bruce.
Hi. What's happening, kid?
Well, I just turned 23, and I found the woman of my dreams, and I'm all set to go out with her and look for a diamond engagement.
Oh, my goodness gracious, you're going to spring for the ring, huh?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Right.
I was just wondering if you had any pointers for me as to, what to look out for.
Yeah, for a couple of things, real. What's your first name?
John.
John, there are 2 or 3 things that you should be aware of. One, it's a big moment in your life, I understand all that. But you don't have to be Richard Burton with Elizabeth Taylor and come home with a rock that you get a hernia carrying. It's just not necessary. Now, Sheila takes violent exception to that. She feels that diamonds are a girl's best friend, and this way, if you split, the girl still has the rock, but you and I are hanging together, representing the male side of this issue, right? How much do you earn, John?
I make about $24,000 a year.
Right. How much do you plan on spending on this signature of your faithfulness and love?
Well, I like to keep it under, say, $3,000.
I think that's reasonable.
She would like it to be anywhere from 1 1/3 to 1 1/2 carats. I know.
She's marrying the wrong guy. I mean, cut me a break.
She started off with 2 carats, and I kind of bargained my way down.
2 carats.
Pardon?
You got any idea what 2 carats is going to cost you?
I know. I
mean, you were in the wrong. We're talking. We should be talking points, which is a fraction of a carat, not carats.
Oh, I see.
Better to buy a very small stone of good quality than to buy a larger stone that is severely flawed.
Right.
Now, the likelihood is if I put a gun to your head and your feet in the fire, you could not explain to me what the 4 C's are. I don't think you could you? And that's not tuna fish either, by the way.
Is it like color, cut, dirty?
Hey, you're doing good. What's the last one? I'm in trouble.
Carrot.
Very well. How do you spell carrot?
C-A-R-A-T.
Kids did pretty well. Now that you've done much better than I anticipated. However, do these things mean anything to you? For example, do you know the difference between cuts? Do you know the difference in color? And the answer's got to be no, John, or we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Right.
Because I don't either. Who's kidding who? So there's an old hackneyed expression, but it's true. If you don't know jewelry, know your jeweler. Know who you're dealing with. Talk to your parents if they've lived in town for a while. There's got to be at least 1 or 2 jewelers that enjoy a real good reputation. People have been around for a while that you may not get the absolute cheapest price that way. But they're gonna be there if you have a problem. They're entitled to make a profit.
Right.
And buy the better stone. And 25 years from now, when you're a smashing success and making tons, she won't be as good looking as she is today. She'll need diamonds.
Okay.
I wish you well, my friend.
Thank you.
I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around for more. This is Talknet.
Weekdays 5 to 9 on News Radio 1370 WSPD.
For manzanita. It's a shrub that grows here around Lake Tahoe.
From manzanita, huh?
Manzanita.
And what does one do with these floral wreaths?
These are sold to floral shops that take the wreath and decorate it and sell it to the customers.
And this is a local proposition, or are they sold?
No, I wanted to do it on a national scale. It was tested recently by just one sales rep in L.A., and it did well, but the person doing it didn't do so well. So
what does that mean? That's a contradiction.
I was financing a business, and it didn't work out.
Well, let's find why it didn't work out. At least learn from the experience. What happened?
Well, the person wasn't reliable. I don't want to get into this.
Well, no, what I'm getting to is if you made a mistake, let's learn from the mistake. And you may or may not be drawing a conclusion that's a reasonable one. You said that the florist did well and so forth, but it failed. Well, I want to know what the failure was. Otherwise, you may be drawing an erroneous conclusion.
the person didn't know how to run the business that started it, and the sales rep that he was using has refused to continue with him. He's called me, and it says if I will do the business, he will then...
Well, are these do these things have a decent shelf life?
Yeah.
How long? Indefinite?
Indefinite, yeah.
Well, the thing to do is to go to one or more of the shows, and hopefully you can get into the shows, get a booth, and you're looking for A, orders, and B, reps, and you can find both of those at the major shows.
Yeah, I was looking at 3 different ways. One might be to continue the reps, although I have to track them down all over the country.
Well, wait a while. What did I just get through telling you? If you go to 1 or 2 of the major shows, you'll find reps from all over the country.
Okay. That was one way would be using reps. The second one I thought of would be direct mail.
Forget about it.
Okay.
Serious.
Okay.
I mean, it's a business I hadn't know a little bit about because I own several units.
That's why I was calling you to help flower shops.
But there's no way in the world we would deal with you.
I see.
I mean, it's just too small an item to be messing around with. If one of our established salespeople comes in and they persuade Steve that this is something worthwhile, you got a shot. But if you send us something in the mail, it's going to make the circular container so quick it'll make your ears swim. We just don't have time to mess around with stuff, bits and pieces here and there. And I'm sure that is an accurate reflection on the biggest part of people in the business.
Okay.
You gotta have a rep walking through the door.
Okay. In that case, would it be better to deal with reps directly or to get a big distributor that has a catalog and so forth, and the distributor gets his own reps out?
Well, if you can find somebody that's willing to handle your product, it's certainly a lot cleaner that way, but you'll make less money.
Yeah.
And you might want to come to New York City. Clearly the gift capital of the world is at the gift center at, was it 225th Avenue, I guess it is, isn't it? Or 225 Fifth Avenue. I mean, there's a whole skyscraper of nothing but the kind of material you just described to me.
Oh, yeah? This is 225 Fifth Avenue?
225 Fifth. It's truly the gift center of the country.
But that's just retail gifts, or?
No, sir. It's supplies and all sorts of things. You name it, it's in that building. And you're going to find guys that rep just about every product and call upon every kind of store, as I meant, gift shops, florist shops, that kind of things. And you also ought to go to the shows. You really ought to go to the shows.
Okay, where would I get a list of the main shows?
Well, you're going to call Los Angeles. You can call Chicago. I'm just trying to think. In New York City, it'd be the Javits Center. In Chicago, it'd be, McCormick Place. I've forgotten the one in Dallas. Forgive me, Dallas. They're all over the country. And you can call the Chamber of Commerce, to find out what the major convention center is in that community. In Las Vegas, you got one?
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas. Well, easy. Forget about easy, please, will you? Easy's not that. You want to make money, or if you want to be easy, get a job somewhere.
Okay.
It just happens that I know where State Line is, and I know where Las Vegas is. I'm just telling you, there's a convention center in Las Vegas you ought to contact us, see what they've got going.
Okay.
The Cow Palace in San Francisco, and the list goes on, and you got to go out and make these shows. Good luck, kid.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around for more. This is Talknet. We're off to Dayton, Ohio. Hello there.
Hi there, Bruce.
Hello, baby. What's on your mind?
I work in a small office in Dayton, and I am on a retirement fund with my boss. Okay, we also have a girl who is under me who works for us, and it is now time to put her on the retirement fund, but he has informed us that she does not work enough hours in a year.
Yeah.
Do you have any?
You can set conditions on, I think it's a minimum of 3 years if you choose to. Is it a 401k or something? Or KEO or what?
A KEO type of plan.
You can set, I believe, the first 3 years you're not covered and you must work so many hours. It's not designed usually for part-time employees.
That's true.
How often does how many hours does she work?
She works approximately 920 hours a year.
What does that work out to? Goodness gracious.
He says that she needs to work 1,000 hours a year.
1,000?
Yeah.
Well, 40 hours a week times 10 is 400. That's 2,000 on a 50-week year.
She works approximately...
That would be less than 20. He's saying she's going to work at least half time.
Yeah.
Well,
and she does not.
Well, that's not unreasonable.
Well, she does not. So do you have any other suggestions? I mean, he's even looking for ways to compensate her for this since according to the terms he set up, he should not be putting money into her account.
Well, why doesn't she work an extra 100 hours a year and make her eligible?
It's not busy enough to make her work an extra hours.
Well, there's not much she can raise her pay if he wants to.
Thank you very much.
Nata, California. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce. How are you?
I am well.
Good. I have a question for you. I am an employee in a small business, and I have been on salary for 3 years.
Okay, what do you do?
It's a sales for a furniture store.
All right, this is retail furniture?
Uh-huh.
Like for the guy and gal that comes in with stars in their eyes kind of thing?
Right.
Got you covered. Go ahead.
Right. So I have been on salary for 3 years. They have recently changed me to a commission-only structure.
You have to raise your voice just a little bit, love.
Oh, okay.
Atta girl.
They changed me to...
Yeah, you're on. Now they want you to get a commission.
Right.
That's customary usually.
Well, when I was on salary, I was doing the pricing, the advertising, putting away all of the samples, everything, basically. Well, now that I'm on commission only, I am wondering, well, they're paying me to do the advertising in addition now to my guarantee. But I am wondering if I am still obligated to do pricing, to put away samples, to do things that I'm not getting paid for.
Well, that's a good question. I talked to somebody not too long ago who works for big furniture operator. I'm talking about industrial strength big, like 50 people on the floor. They got to vacuum the floor now.
Even though they're
straight commission. They're straight commission. They all do the tagging and so forth for sales and that kind of stuff. Now, whether whether it's quote legal, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it sure is not uncommon. And the question is, how bad do you want the job?
Well, it was a good job when I was on salary because I made a decent.
How much did you earn as on a salary?
$1,800 a month.
All right. Now, when you're selling, what is the commission rate?
You mean what percentage?
Yeah.
It's on a sliding scale, anywhere from 2 to 6.
2?
Yeah, if it's under 20% profit, it's 2%.
That's pretty low.
Yeah, but I just feel that if I'm...
Well, hold on, let's back up a little bit.
Okay.
How much did you sell in the average month when you were on salary?
Probably 30,000.
Well, that's about 7%, right? You were getting paid 18. At 10%, it'd be 18. You had to sell 18,000, 36.5, 6.5% or something like that, right? You're gonna have to sell more to make as much as you're doing now. You have to sell a lot more.
I know.
A lot more. Is that possible?
I don't think so.
Well, in that case, time to look for a job, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, in the meantime, because I'm thinking about looking for another job, but in the meantime, I feel that if I have my nose in invoices trying to price and someone walks through the door...
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
Particularly at the percentages you've described. See, the situation that I described to you a moment ago, some of the people are making $50,000 to $75,000 on the floor.
Right.
They can't make it anyplace else, so they don't dare quit.
Right.
And the boss knows that.
Right.
But in your situation, I have a heart-to-heart with that guy. I think the commission schedule is unreasonable. 2%, unless you're selling very, very upscale stuff where a guy walks in and drops $10,000, $15,000.
Right.
2% is just not enough. I wish you well, dear.
Thank you.
I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around for more. We give you what we hope is the very best of conversation radio. Yeah? We call it Talknet.
Listen to the Morning Report. 4 hours of news and useful information you can use. Weekdays 5 to 9 on News Radio 1370 WSPD.
You could walk around and say, all you got to do is, oh, my goodness, we'd all be millionaires.
Well, I thought, somebody that's experienced in advertising might...
They can make projections.
Okay.
But that's all they are, is projections. I mean, there's so many things can go proper. It's easier to tell you what will not work.
Okay, well,
than what will.
Let me tell you where I'm going to be advertising, and maybe you could...
Well, don't tell me that. Tell me what the product is or the service is, and we'll start with that. I don't want to hear what you've already decided.
Okay, I'm paying cash for computers, gold, silver, U.S. and foreign coins, jewelry, diamonds, class rings, dental gold, all that stuff. And I'm advertising on the back of a movie ticket.
Why?
Because it's a local, and that's where I do most of my purchases.
Well, is it working for you?
No, I haven't advertised there yet.
Oh. That doesn't strike me. First of all, you haven't...
It costs half a penny per ticket.
Wait a minute. I don't care what it costs for the moment. Try it. Well, you have to lose a few dollars. But here's the thing. You haven't... You gave me what you do, and it's a pretty eclectic mix, right? For example, if you told me you bought old jewelry, estate jewelry in gold, right?
Well, I deal in precious metals.
You're not listening to me.
Okay, I'm listening.
If you told me that your main emphasis was on old gold, silver, that sort of thing, right? Mm-hmm. Old estate jewelry.
Right.
Well, if you extend that, wouldn't the next thing be, well, the demographic of that type of a person selling is going to be much older, 55, 60 up. Is that not the case?
True.
All right. But then you...
$51,000.
That's what it's worth?
The house is worth mid-70s, upper 70s.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Now, suppose you sold it.
Well...
What would you do with the money?
Invested elsewhere.
Is the rent paying the overhead, or do you have a negative cash flow?
My cash flow next year will break even.
Okay.
The last couple of years it has fallen short.
All right.
We've been raising the rent a little bit less than inflation each year, and next year it will break even finally, excluding repairs.
But how long have you had this place?
We built it 6 years ago.
Boy, it just seems to me you've gone through all the bad times. Why do you want to get out now when things are starting to improve?
Well, my rationale is that if I could get out a lot of what I put into the house for the refinancing, then I might be willing to do that.
Right. How are you
here's
do
what
that?
I'm figuring. People who are buying the house would save $3,000 right up front in closing costs if they assumed the loan, which they would.
Is the mortgage assumable?
Yes, it's easily assumable, and they would qualify.
All right. It was an FHA?
Yes.
All right. Okay.
So
they would. Well, for 6. How long ago did you refinance it?
3 years ago.
Is it a qualifying FHA then?
I'm still on the hook.
No, I don't. That's either case. But
okay.
See, there was the rules changed about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Do you understand the changes?
No, I don't think so.
Well, the changes were before that. If you had a 5 or 6 year old FHA, the guy could be a bankrupt, a bank robber, everything else, and you could let him assume your mortgage, and nobody could do anything about it. Then they changed the rules, and they said they have to approve of the assumption. I want to know if yours is that kind, or which kind do you have? You don't know the answer to that.
I'm not sure.
Better
But
find out.
assuming they would qualify.
Okay.
They would save roughly $3,000 right up front in closing costs.
Yep.
And then they would be saving about $50 a month in payments for the life of the loan.
For why?
Pardon me?
Why?
Because they'll have my interest rate at 9 instead of prevailing interest rate.
Which is what?
Which is around 10.
All right.
Okay. So
there's an assumption there that is not necessarily valid, by the way.
Which is?
That there's going to be the difference over the... Right now you say it's 10, but you see, suppose the interest rates go to 8.
Then he's made a bad decision.
Well, that's what. So you're making an assumption which is not necessarily a valid one.
Yes. On the other hand, if interest rates go to 12,
absolutely, you're right. Right. I just want to point out it's not a one-way street.
Right. So my thought is that if I can get out somewhat anyway of what I put in to do the refinancing, that I think I'm especially I'd love to have this couple have the house.
Well, go ahead.
On the other hand, I'm just wondering if it's reasonable. Back to my first question.
Look,
is it reasonable?
But your first question was praised poorly. No, it was. Your first question was, can you sell a house for more than the market price? Right?
Yes.
But you see, you can't. Because when you sell it for a number, that establishes the market price. And all of the variables you threw in there contribute to market price.
Okay. They do contribute.
Certainly they do.
See, my question is, does having a very attractive assumption...
All of these things are considered when you make a deal.
Yeah.
Now, look. I mean, you're overcomplicating things.
Okay.
You really are. For example, I got to be very brief here.
Yes.
If the market is real hot,
yes,
the place can be falling down, and there can be and you can sell a place.
Right.
If the market is really in the dumper, it can be a palace, and you can't sell it. Now, all of the variables, financing, zoning, everything comes into this recipe we're cooking up here.
Yes.
And they contribute to the final deal price.
Yes.
And the final deal price then becomes the market price.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Sure, the financing's a factor.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Okay.
saving some of the legals and so forth. All these are factors that contribute to the ultimate price, but that's what market is.
Yes, I understand.
Good luck, my friend.
Thank you.
It's been a joy. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet.
In all of the U.S. and Canada, too. 1-800-TALKNET.
Let's shoot on down to Tampa, Florida. Hello there.
How you doing? I hope you're as well as you sound.
I am cooking right along, and I feel just fine, thank you.
Good. I got a problem. I got a great product, and the last month business has been sour.
What's your product?
I have a deli. I have a kosher-style deli.
A New York-type deli, huh?
Yes, sir. You can have fresh French fries. And
corned beef I'd kill for, huh?
Corned beef and pastrami.
Pastrama?
Yeah, and all the goodies.
Yeah.
And last month, the snowbirds left.
Well, that's going to hurt you in your area to some extent for two reasons. One, the snowbird has a little more money to spend because he's on vacation. And secondly, a lot of people that fit into that nomenclature also eat a lot of deli.
Right.
But what are you doing to promote your business?
Well, I even put in breakfast.
I asked what you're doing to promote your business.
I have a mailer.
That's it?
Mailing, yeah. And
how much advertising do you do?
I've put it in the papers. I'm just outside of Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
And
how about a great little radio station like WSUN?
Son, I don't think they hit here. In fact, I can't even get you one. I'm just a little outside of Tampa.
Which way? North or south?
North.
Oh, certainly they do. You can hear WSUN all the way up into Port Richey.
Well, this is just about yeah.
Because I listen to it in Port Richey regularly.
Uh-huh. So, I have my radio here. You know, I try and get SUN. I can't get it.
Well, you probably got a cheap radio.
No, I got a good.
I'm serious when I tell you that.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Yeah, I got a Zenith, an old Zenith.
Well,
the old with the double speakers.
Maybe you need some work.
Possibly.
The point is, you know, you can have the best deli in the world, but if I don't know about it, how am I going to come buy it from you? I want you to hold on. We'll sneak around the corner together. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Florida, I am indeed. He has the best deli in the world. I mean, the guy, if he opened up on 7th Avenue and 50th Street, I mean, I got to tell you something, the guys in New York would shudder. Isn't that true? They'd be scared to death. But you're not. But here's the thing. Whereabouts are you located?
Wesley Chapel. It's by Zephyr Hills. Right off 75, right off the highway.
Who in the world knows you there? Nobody.
People in Zephyr Hills.
Yeah.
People in
in that case,
Land O'Lakes.
Well, in that case, you're making a fortune. You have nothing to worry about. Well, that's not true, is it?
No, not at all.
Well, so you got to advertise.
I put in the papers here.
Well, the papers are great.
Local paper. I put it in the. I send out mailers, you know.
To whom?
To everybody in this area. And I have, you know, what's it cost? 11 cents a.
I don't know.
It's 11 cents a paper. Mm-hmm. I have my own number.
Is that helping you?
It did and it didn't. I did until last month. I died. Quite frankly.
How much were you off?
Oh, about half.
Oh, that's too big a hit.
$2,000. Yeah.
What, a week? How much do you do a week?
A week, we do about 1,100.
Mm-hmm. You should be doing more of that.
Should be doing 22. Yeah.
Well, I'm reminded of B.J. Palmer, early to bed, early to rise, work like hell, and advertise.
Yeah, advertise. Well,
I really think you would advertise.
I just, quite frankly, when you were turning on your, when you were on the commercial there, I tried to get Sun. Because I listened to it in Tampa. I live in Brandon. And I tried to get on the radio here. It just don't come in.
Something wrong with your radio. I'm telling you.
Maybe.
I don't know that area that well. But I do have. Well, hold it. Take a deep breath. I have an office there, so I do get down there from time to time.
Right.
Now, from Tampa, you're coming up Route US 19. How far are you?
From 19?
Yeah.
Oh, about 18 miles.
You're inland from 19?
Yes, I'm by 75.
I don't even know where that is.
Well, it's the route up the west. the West Coast.
Well, and there are other radio stations, but I think radio is one way to advertise. But you got to do it consistently, not just today and then let it go for 2 months. You got to have bargains, you got to have deals, but then you got to tell people about them. You can't keep your. You just got to tell folks you're there. You can't rely just on the people that drive past the door to stop.
Right. Well, I'm going to have to do again, as I said, the advertising. You know where Saddlebrook is?
Saddlebrook, New Jersey?
No, Saddlebrook, the country club right up here.
No, I do not.
Oh, it's...
I have a very poor orientation when it comes to Florida. One of my favorite places, and I do come into Tampa, St. Pete, and the airport pretty regularly, and I rattle on up US 19 where my office is, and I do have a home there. I won't share quite where that is, but I do believe that if you have a good product, you'll let people know about it, and that's what advertising is all about. But that's just my opinion. Bruce Williams on Talknet. Oh, my goodness gracious. We have photographers racing in and out here. We have a gorgeous young lady in a very tight set of jeans, so she's been distracting me from... This has got to stop. I mean, after all. Castle Rock, Washington, it's your turn.
Yes.
Hello there. Yeah.
Thank you for taking my call.
I'm delighted you called.
My father left me 10 acres of land in California with the idea that it had oil on it.
Well, how nice.
Yes, but it's been leased twice by oil companies, but nothing developed, and it's been 35 years. So now a farmer wants to buy it, and we think we would like to sell it.
All right.
We're going down there next week, and we wanted to know whether we should work through a real estate agent to find out how much to ask, or
well,
whether...
First, you don't need a real estate agent for that. What I would do is have the property appraised.
Appraised.
And then there is something else you can consider, that the property can be sold with or without the mineral rights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
You can retain, but that's going to reduce the price, the value.
Uh-huh.
But the first thing to do is get hold of a professional appraiser and have them appraise the property so you know what you're dealing with.
And will the appraiser be able to give us a figure about how much it would be worth without the mineral rights?
Absolutely. If you have the wrong appraiser, you don't. Absolutely.
Okay. You always say to use a lawyer in transactions of this type. Do we need a lawyer for just unimproved land?
Does a baby have a diaper?
Okay.
Does a cat got whiskers?
Okay.
Bear got fur?
All right.
Of course you need an attorney.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Take good care, sweetheart.
Bye-bye.
Toledo, Ohio. It's your turn on Talknet. Welcome, my friend.
Hi, Bruce.
Hello.
I enjoy your program.
Thank you.
Was that Sheila I was talking to?
That was the one,
She's
the
lovely.
only, the inimitable.
She is lovely.
Sheila Jasket.
Bruce, I've got a problem, not a real problem, but I've got a 1983 Eldorado.
An 83 Eldorado.
This is going to kill you when I tell you what. I've got 10,000 miles on it.
My goodness gracious.
But my problem is, though, Bruce, been carrying, and still am carrying full coverage on this car.
What's the car worth? As we speak, if you had to sell that automobile today, what's it worth?
I've seen them around town for about $89,000.
I continue to carry full coverage then.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's a lot of money. If it's worth $8 or $9 grand, it's worth carrying collision on.
The car is practically brand new. This is why I've kept all the coverage.
What we should do is make your insurance agent aware in writing, and you want a response from him that this is a primo car, and he may have to pay a little more premium.
Okay.
You may not have to, but I would want him to be aware this is not the ordinary 83 LD.
Right. One other thing.
Yeah.
I've got a stationary bike I've been riding. Compared to my car with 10,000 miles, you know how many miles I have on this bike?
How many?
19,000.
Good Lord. I got a stationary bike. I wouldn't embarrass myself to tell you how many miles I got on mine. Take good care, kid.
Thank you.
I'm Bruce Williams. I do hope you like what you hear. This is Talknet. Albion, Nebraska. Hello there.
Question. I have really two questions. They're related, and they have to do with a lawsuit possibility.
All right.
Okay. I am considering.
You recognize I'm not an attorney.
I understand that, and
okay.
I've already, and to be honest with you, I've spoken with an attorney already. The opinions I want from you are not necessarily legal opinions. Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. The two questions are: do you think I should continue and pursue this, first of all? Secondly, is in the event that I do, what would be the personal, not financial, but personal investment for me and my family? Okay, because I've never done anything like this, or I've never been involved in anything like this.
All right, let's talk. What kind of an action are we talking about here?
All right, here's what it boils down to. It's over a loss of employment. Okay, the employment. I am a college football coach. Okay.
Oh boy, that's a tenure. You're about the same shape as talk show hosts. They comes and they goes. Are you a head coach or a specialty coach?
No, I was a specialty coach. And what happened was I had taken a job in which I had to move about 1,500 miles across the country and move my family and so forth. It wasn't a very particularly high-paying position, but at the same time, it offered some good opportunity. There were two key questions that I asked in the interview, key for me, and I made sure that they were key to the person who hired me, the head coach, was number one, would the responsibility that was at least on paper be an actual responsibility or only a name? Okay, it was a coordinator's position, one of the top assistant positions.
Offense or defense?
Offense.
Offensive coordinator.
Yes,
okay.
Right. Secondly, even though, and we all know that there's not a lot of job security in that field, I did want to know what could be addressed to that, because simply I wasn't willing to move my family 1,500 miles if, in fact, we were all going to get fired in 6 months. Now, the answer to the first question was, yes, you would have complete control, complete authority of what you were doing on the offensive side of the ball. The second question was, his question was, listen, I have a 4-year contract. I will make a verbal commitment to everybody that I hire there with me, because I'll have done all the background work on you, and I'll feel confident of that. So that happened. Now,
he had a 4-year deal, you said.
Yes, that's right. He had a 4-year deal. Now, and I was told this by other people.
We talked to the AD, by the way, when this was all going on?
Now, the AD was, yes, I did. As a matter of fact, the AD gave me the same information.
All right.
Okay. Now, what happened was when I came into the position, I did exactly what I was supposed to. I was also a fundraiser for the institution and did a lot of work in that area and raised a lot of money. Now, what happened was there was another individual involved, a very, very powerful alumnus, contributed a tremendous amount of money, who came in, and I'm not sure what happened, but the only thing I can suspect is the fact that he simply decided that a few of us were not going to be around anymore.
The alum?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
That's right. So what happened was after about 2/3 of our season was finished, I was informed that I was not to be invited back next year, and I ought to think about that as far as my future goes. So all of a sudden, after about 7 months, I was 1,500 miles from where I'd been, and I didn't have a position.
And what did the old head coach say about all this?
The head coach simply said to me, he said, you're the kind of individual who's an excellent coach, who needs to have complete control over what it is that you're doing, and I don't think you could coach for me anymore as a result of that, which was precisely what I had asked him, and, he knew that when I was coming in. I think one of the problems that happened was, and it isn't a difficult thing for most people, certainly wasn't for me, was that I have 19 years of experience in the profession, and the head coach has about 11 years of experience. So, but I asked him, I said, is that a difficulty? Is that a problem with you? Because for some people it may be.
Sure.
It was not a problem for him at the time that he hired me.
Well, all right, so your position is then that you left another job, you moved 1,500 miles with the idea there would be a certain degree of security here.
Sure.
And they yanked it right off from under you in 6 months' time.
That's what happened.
All right, you talked to an attorney.
I've simply spoken to an attorney and laid my story in front of him.
All right.
With far more details than what you have.
Indeed.
Sure.
It would seem to me that if everything is as you described it, and you made it very clear that a condition of your leaving would be that you wanted to know that you had a reasonable, unless your performance was so abysmal that no one would keep you around, that you anticipated a reasonable tenure there, and you were assured that was the case by both the AD and by both the head coach who did the hiring.
That's correct.
It seemed to me that you may have possible case.
Mm-hmm.
What'd your attorney say?
Well, the attorney has given me that input also, and that's also his opinion on the matter.
Mm-hmm.
That's not as much of the opinion that I guess I want from you as the fact that, well, no, the other question that I asked, what would be the personal investment for me and my family? And I'm not talking about financial investment. You understand I'm talking about emotional and all those things.
To do what?
Well, to go through something like this. I've never done it.
It has some interesting ramifications, not the least of these, is that it may make you not the most desirable hire in the next situation. Are you working somewhere else?
Well, as a matter of fact, I've taken a position outside of coaching right now.
Uh-huh.
And actually, it's a more financially lucrative one anyhow, so I may not go back into coaching. But
well, I think that you might want to consider the fact that this could make you a less desirable coach.
Well, I understand that. I'm fully aware of that.
Aside from that, I think guys that make commitments sometimes should be punished when they just willy-nilly say, "Oh, the hell with it."
Yeah.
I mean, I don't agree with that.
Well, I don't. That's for sure. But that's the thing that I'm really concerned about is what I might put my family through, to do something like this. That's my main concern. Tough to tell, huh?
Well, I think it depends in some measure on first of all, the family is not, it's going to be you, not the family. How much is going to be there? How much is going to affect the family when you come right down to it?
Well, the whole thing has affected them so far, obviously.
Well, because you moved, and it affects them to some extent because you let it affect them.
Yeah, you're right.
How much do you bring home? If you leave the work at the office, it's going to stay at the office for the most part.
Mm-hmm. I see. Okay, well then.
I think what it's coming down to, forget the family for a moment. How's it going to affect you?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking you.
Well, the question is, how badly do you want to get back at these guys? How badly do you want to punish them?
Yeah. That's the question I have to answer for myself.
No one can answer that question but you.
Right. That's correct.
And again, to use a very poor analogy, is the game worth playing?
Yeah, you're right. That's right.
And once you get into that game, you realize that it'd be very awkward to back off.
Oh, yes. Right.
Very awkward.
That's right. Yeah, once you come up the bat, you better make sure you take your swing.
You got it. I wish you well, Coach.
Well, thank you very much.
Tough position, though, this business of jobs where you didn't bounce in and out. It's difficult. It really is. Scotia, New York, it's your turn. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
Thanks for taking my call.
Not at all. What's on your mind?
Well, I don't know where to turn, and I thought I'd give you a call and see maybe you can help me out. A couple years ago, I was lucky enough to have a small book I wrote published.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a vanity press. It was legitimately published. And right now, after 2 years, I'm a substance abuse counselor, and it's like a series of workbooks that people would do while they were in treatment.
Yeah.
Now, a couple years have gone by, and the contract I got said that I would get 10% royalties after the first 750 copies were sold. Okay. I've never, in the last 2 years, I've never gotten a statement on how many have been sold.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at somehow buying the rights to it back myself.
Mm-hmm. And how much did they pay you initially?
They didn't. Didn't pay me at all. They just, I'm a first-time author. I had shopped it around about a dozen places, and I felt lucky to get published.
Absolutely.
And
I understand that.
From what I've been told, that's how I should have looked at it. What I'm looking at now is that I do a fair amount of speaking at conferences and things like that, and what I find is that the book sells very well when I have it right there and I can sell it to people.
Sure.
It doesn't sell as well when it's advertised, and I don't think the publisher is advertising it a whole lot, if at all, and if in the right places. And he has kind of hinted to me that he's not real willing to put a whole lot of money into it in terms of that, and I guess I can see why.
Sure.
I'm a little curious about why I've never gotten a statement on anything.
Well, ask.
Well, I did.
What did he say?
He said they come out next October, which I think that's kind of thin. I mean, it's still been 2 years. I'm looking at I'd like to change the cover of it. And
how many copies did they initially run?
I think he said about 1,000. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure. I think he said about 1,000. Mm-hmm. See, I'm on one coast. He's on the other.
Yeah.
And the book runs for $10. Mm-hmm. I can buy it for $5. Mm-hmm. And
is this a vanity press of any kind?
Excuse me?
Did you put any money up?
No.
Oh,
no.
All right.
No, it wasn't. Not that at all.
All right.
And what I'm looking at is how do I go about buying it back myself?
Well, how do you buy something back that you didn't sell? You gave him the rights. Is that it?
Yeah, I signed a contract that said that he had the copyright.
Exclusive right.
No, I had the copyright. He had the published.
For how long a period of time?
It didn't specify.
Man, you didn't have an attorney, did you?
No, I didn't. Uh-oh. You're going to scold me, aren't you?
Well, I'm not going to scold you, but you can see the reason for that. You don't sign open-ended contracts.
Okay.
There should have been a time limit in there.
Well, one of the things I'm looking at is I don't have a whole lot of money to sink into this. It's not a big operation, and like I said before,